Now, from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
Jeff Rust with your Sports Center update. First on The Fan, after the Pacers eliminated the Knicks in Game 6 on Saturday, the finals are all set. Game 1 coming up Thursday at the Paycom Center in Oklahoma City. The Thunder are early 9-point favorites. ESPN's Shams Charania reporting the Suns have narrowed their head coaching search to 2 candidates, Cavaliers assistants Johnny Bryant and Jordan Ott. Over on the diamond, the Mariners off today after taking 2 of 3 from the Twins. The Orioles now hit Seattle for a 3-game set starting tomorrow. Mariners lead over the Astros in the AL West, now down to just a half game. The Stanley Cup playoffs on pause until the final begins Wednesday in Rogers Place in Edmonton, with the Oilers hosting the Panthers. Florida looking to hoist Lord Stanley's Cup for the second straight year, while Edmonton looking to become the first Canadian winner since 1993. And in the NFL, Lions center Frank Ragnow announced his retirement this morning. Ragnow was a first-round pick in 2018 and a 4-time Pro Bowl selection. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk. Hurt and missing work, insurance companies acting like jerks. Don't call your mom. Call George McCoy at warrenallen.com.
The Fan Merch Locker has a new black 1080 The Fan hoodie, as well as classic long and short sleeve tees. Get yours now at 1080thefan.com. This is Danny and Dusty.
Meringatang is going to be a thing.
You're not coining anything new.
With Danny Meringue and Dusty, the Fan Man Hera.
I'll throw some monkey sounds in there and call it good.
The old Danny Meringue pie?
Danny and Dusty on the Odyssey app and 1080.
Yeah, this is going to be awesome.
The Fan.
Welcome into Danny and Friends on this gorgeous Monday. Patrick Harrison with you. Hey, that guy next to me, he's actually a part of this show. That's Danny Meringue to my left. Rusty on the ones and twos. I was saying, Rusty, it's absolute a joy to see you.
Always
I feel
good to
like
see
we
you,
used
sir.
to run across each other all the time.
Yeah.
And now we're here. And Danny, thanks for the opportunity sitting in. I've realized of everybody in this building, you are the only person I have not worked with.
Yeah, that doesn't really happen because Dusty is never gone.
Yeah. Yeah, he's not. And I've done, there is a plethora of former employees that I have worked with before working with you. I was once the producer of this show for 2 months.
There you go.
Will Darkins on paternity leave. Shout out Will Darkins on a second kid.
There you go.
Just pumping him out.
Yeah.
So-
We're still working on one.
You still working on one?
We're still working on one.
I got 3.
Yeah.
So if you want any,
No. We're good.
a couple of them are available.
The
I'm
work-
gonna keep Bubba though. He's too cute.
I will tell you, the work is the best part.
Yeah. Oh, practice.
Oh,
That's-
a lot of practice.
Oh, people. So full disclosure, I am bonus dad.
Okay.
So my kids, I am not their, real dad.
Gotcha.
You're not my real dad.
Yeah, you're there.
And people will ask me and my wife, hey, you guys thinking about having one of your own? I was like, no, absolutely not. But we love to practice.
Yep. There you go.
Yeah, big fans of practice.
Get a lot of BP in.
Well, you got to make sure, everything's still working.
Hey, step in the cage.
Are you guys really working on a kid?
Oh yeah. No, like we're
Well,
like
good for you.
we're trying. So,
Kids are wonderful.
dude, I'm 40, and as today,
Today I
You
am
are 40. Welcome to the club,
Thank
buddy.
you, my friend.
Hey,
Thank
nice.
you.
Happy birthday.
There you
Thank
go.
Yeah, today is my birthday.
yeah, even
I
better.
was wondering how long we could bury that.
No,
lead.
no, we're definitely
not
getting
a
out
big
there.
birthday guy.
Made it
okay.
till
Yeah, no.
12:03.
Yeah, no, you're piecing out after the show, heading down to the Diamond in the Desert,
Viva.
Viva Las Vegas for the first time.
For the first time. Today I am hosting with Danny Meringue for the first time. Today I am going to Vegas for the first time.
A lot of firsts.
And today I have turned 40 for the first time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Big day.
Better
It's
than
good
turning 40 for the second time.
That would be kind of weird.
Yeah.
Weird.
I don't know how that works.
Yeah.
Could you count like a half birthday?
no, I mean,
it's like most of those ladies, they're 29 again.
yeah, no, I mean, like in October, I'll be 40 again
Yeah.
instead of 41.
I feel really lucky though. The body feels 40 for sure. The body
Yeah.
feof kind of 50 at times. But the brain still feels kind of 30. I still get this feeling like when I walk through the grocery store and I'm like buying $250 worth of groceries for the 5 of us, that somebody's looking at me like, what the hell is this 20, 30-year-old dude need $250 in groceries? Somebody asked me the other day, oh, you having a party? And I was like, no, I have 3 kids. And they were like, oh. I was like, oh, I guess I come across a little younger than I think.
My wife and I were talking about this the other day. Is physically, God, like I need some carbon dating on my body. That's how
You've been through the ringer a lot more than me.
I mean, the
no
lower
knives for me.
Yeah, no, the lower body is in disarray to say the least. But it's one of those things where like mentally and maturity wise, 28. 28. I'm like, the only thing that's really changed is I have less patience for stupidity.
Oh, for sure.
Like the shaking, like there was a guy on a motorcycle who drove through our neighborhood with the loudest exhaust you've ever heard, and he's just ripping it through the neighborhood. I'm like, what are you doing? Yeah, and I was like, I caught myself like it's like those Progressive commercials, becoming your parents, and I'm like, God dang it! Like it was 100% like that. And I was getting gas last night, and there's a guy, the one. Have you seen that commercial where the dad is sitting there talking to the guy?
Bathroom code is 9914.
Yeah.
I can't watch that commercial because that was my dad.
It's so
it's 100% my dad. Oh yeah, I'm from Spokane, Washington, moved to Vancouver in '97, and me and the kids were going down to LA to see my dad. Grew up in San Fernando. You're like, Dad, this is a Wendy's, man. Nobody cares.
Yeah, this guy in front of me had California
fries.
plates, and it took everything in me to be like, where in Cali you from, man? Yeah. Like, I was like,
don't do it.
I was like, because, as an LA guy, it's like, that's like my natural draw is like, oh, you might be my people. Where are you from? And it was just like, what the hell? Speaking of looking younger, I played as a single yesterday at Salem Glen, and it was two younger kids and a guy who I thought was my age. His name is Kenji, so I'm going to make an assumption that he was Japanese. He was 55. He looked 34.
Well,
and I was like, dude, good for you. He told me 55. My immediate answer was, good for you. I was like, dog, I thought you were my age.
Dude, there's something about the Asian variety, though. Those guys age so well.
They age
I
well,
have a couple friends that I grew
Jet
up with.
black hair.
Two of my best friends in the world. They're Vietnamese, and they're both going to be gorgeous for another 30 years.
I asked him, like, how do you guys know each other? And he goes, well, she's my daughter. And I was like,
what?
Yo, what? Because she was 22. And I'm just like, and that's her boyfriend. And I'm just like, I figured they were like 22 to 24, somewhere in that range. And I'm just kind of like, this guy looks like he's around my age. Like, he can't be their, like, it didn't even cross my mind that he could be their dad or her dad.
I think the only thing that keeps me looking older, like looking my age, is that I'm tubby. I got to cut some LBs. If I cut some LBs, I think I could pass as a 30-year-old.
The mustache will also keep you, like, firmly above 30.
Yeah.
Until, unless it starts going gray.
And it's kind of starting to.
Brother, I don't let it really grow on the sides anymore because it is there. So anybody who saw my hair when it was long.
Yeah, I love the long hair.
There was 2 skunk streaks.
Oh, I love
just pure white. And
see, that's sexy.
But I didn't know that it was like that white.
Oh, okay.
And nobody told me because, I don't see the back of my head. But nobody told me like there was like 2 like pure white streaks. So when I cut that off and I looked at the floor, I was like, why did nobody tell me?
Yeah, that'll age you real quickly.
Like I wasn't just gonna go like just for men and like go jet black, but I might have brushed in a little.
It's kind of like that girlfriend that breaks up with you or you break up with, and your friends go, "Yeah, I never really liked her anyway." It's like you could have said something.
Could have gave me a heads up.
Let me know,
right? Like, but.
See, I'm lucky.
The age thing's weird.
I'm lucky because I have been bald for over a decade,
and you let it go. Like you've.
Yeah, I've completely let it go.
Yes.
And it's really unfortunate because I had just awesome, luscious locks of curls.
Did it go quick?
Oh, it went super fast. All of a sudden, I got the circle of death in the back, and then the front was gone, and now it's an airplane strip.
And did you hold on at all?
I held on a touch, and then it was like, nope, you're done. I think I got lucky that, I don't look terrible with a shaved head.
That's the key. Is my dad's got like kind of a lumpier head, and so he was always hesitant. And I hadn't seen him in probably 3 weeks, maybe a month before Easter, and showed up at the family, my sister's house for the family gathering for Easter, and his hair was almost buzzed.
Yeah,
and I was like,
whoa,
look at you, because he's got. So one of the most uncomfortable things I ever like got to him with, like throwing jabs, he pissed me off. I can't remember what it was. I was 15, and we're sitting at the dinner table, and my dad's talking a whole heap of mess, and I said, "Oh, at least I don't have the family crest." And he's like, "What do you mean?" I go, see that big old M on your head from that receding hairline from meringue? Is that what that is? Like the bat signal, brother? That hit a spot for him, like that. That one crippled him. He got up and like chased me around the table. I was like, There it is.
Yep. I actually shaved this morning, and my hair had grown the longest it had grown in a little while, and it's starting to go. But I think that's, again, back to this. I think that's one of the huge benefits for me was that I went bald so long ago in my 20s.
Dude, I had a guy in high
In my
school.
like 28, I was bald.
Yeah, we had a guy in high school, great dude. He had a beard. And when I say beard, I mean beard.
The full on like
In 7th grade.
you're gonna go buy us beer sort of thing.
Brother, he looked like he was 23 when he was 15. But by senior year of high school, it was the middle of his head.
Oh,
His hairline got back
Yeah.
like that far.
I had a friend Gray in high school, good buddy of mine. Yeah, he had long hair,
crazy.
and then all of a sudden it was like salt and pepper junior year, and then senior year the whole thing was gray.
I've never seen
Yeah,
that.
it was
I've
wild.
seen a couple guys with their seeding hairline, stuff like that, but never gray that
Gray.
early.
Yeah,
Oh man.
but sometimes when that old stuff comes to you, young at a young age,
You
kind of
deal with it early.
deal with it early, and
Yeah.
you kind of used to it. It's like I'm turning 40 today. Gosh, that's so weird to say.
It's one of the weirder birthdays.
Well, because I've been saying like, oh, I'm turning 40 soon, and it's just weird that I'm not turning 40. I am 40, and I don't know, like you're turning 40, and there's all these factors that come in that are going to send you downhill, like your knees go out, or you start losing your hair, and you get tubby, and it's like, well, my knees already suck. They have for a decade. Well, I haven't had hair for almost 15 years.
Yeah.
And I'm already kind of tubby, so I don't really see how this is going to get all that bad.
No, and the thing is, like,
So I'll just hang out and wait for 50.
the
And
dad
then at 50, I'll retire.
the dad bod's in.
My wife seems to love it, and you
Yeah.
saw her. She's a smoke show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think pretty much all of us here outkicked our coverage. We all did well.
Yeah. Yeah, we're doing okay.
Oh, dude, the number of times when people meet my wife, I get the
You get the, huh? I just went camping with a bunch of my friends, and my wife came out, and one of our oldest friends, my buddy Adam, he's just looking at Abby. He's like, again, what? Like, why? And he's like a gorgeous human being.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm not trying to get with you by any means, but like, really? Like, why?
couldn't have done better.
And she just goes, he makes me laugh.
It matters.
It matters.
It matters, man.
Oakley Dokley. Well, we do have a show for you today. A lot to get to. It's me, so eventually we'll talk some baseball. So we'll get to that probably in the 1 o'clock hour. Tyler Rucker, he'll join us from No Ceilings, talk a little Blazer draft. We'll do that at 1 o'clock. There's a lot to get to today. There's a lot of fun stuff. There is the NBA Finals we can preview. We'll do that a little later today. But let's stick in the association. That's where we'll start. The Pacers close out the Knicks. And boy, does this feel like there are 35 billion different lines of traffic at the end of this game. We'll get to that next. This is Danny and Dusty on Portland Sports Leader, 1080 The Fan.
Check out
I don't know if I'm going to be putting on this headset again.
You can put it on the board.
12:17 here, Portland Sports Leader. Don't you forget it. We are live from the shadows of the historic Fremont Bridge. It's the fan text line, 503-864-6326. She'll let you interact with us throughout the entire day. Plus, the YouTube stream. Shout out Rufio.
Indeed.
Been a long time. I got to see Rufio not too long ago. I think it was the Winter Golf Classic.
There you go.
I haven't seen the man, the myth, the legend in a long
He
time.
popped in the other day to give us some, drop off some presents. Gave me some Raiders giblets for my Crocs. I
Ooh.
was very, very excited about those.
I understand completely what they are.
Mhm.
It always throws me off when you're like, I got some giblets for my Crocs. I'm like, yo, that just doesn't kind of hit right. It's really off-putting.
No, it sounds like you're making up words.
Yeah, yeah.
Or you're getting ready to feed the Crocs on one of those,
Yeah.
Discovery Channel shows.
Give him some giblets.
Oh, goodness. Well, fun weekend. I was just talking with Danny in the break. I've been watching more NBA finals than I have in a very long time. And I'm talking like complete games and really enjoying them and kind of like, sorry, babe, I'm going to the bar to watch with my friends, sort of thing. And I think a lot of it is because these playoffs have been certainly very fascinating. And I give you Exhibit A of the most fascinating team, and that's the Indiana Pacers. They close out the Knicks in Game 6 on their home turf. Look, the first half of that game I thought was really incredible. I thought Chuck nailed it in the halftime show, saying, if you're the Knicks, you got to feel pretty good about this. And then as the Pacers just kind of pulled away and kind of did their thing, it was quite obvious at the end of the game, that the Pacers were just flat out the better team.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing is, the Knicks were the favorite coming into the series.
And they're fun and they're sexy. They
Yeah.
got cool, fun players and the brand and MSG and Timothy Shamalama Ding Dong, you know.
But you also have the NBA media machine behind New
Totally.
York and not Indiana, so that's what's going to get all of the pomp and circumstance, which I'm glad that we're going to go into this new era for the NBA with OKC and Indiana,
Yeah.
two flyover states.
Yeah.
Oh, nobody cares, ratings, blah, blah, blah. Like, good basketball is good basketball the same way. My hope is that people will understand what good basketball is, regardless of whether it's being played, because you know what nobody ever says in the NFL?
Yeah.
Nobody ever says anything about the market. Green Bay.
Look at one of the largest fan bases in the NFL is Green Bay.
Yeah, and they have a
they're the
city of
smallest market.
50,000 people, 60,000 people.
I think you touch on something, and we'll preview the NBA Finals a little bit. We'll get our first crack at previewing that in the 2:00 hour. But I think that's what I love about this Pacer team right now is they play basketball.
Yeah, and they play an exciting brand of basketball.
It's basketball. It's passing. It's shooting.
Yes.
It's mid range. It's driving. It's smart fouls. It's no turnovers. It's good coaching. Like, it's fun basketball.
And this thing is like, and they play a brand where when you contrast them with like a team like the Celtics that feel very robotic, the Pacers play not the same version where it's just spread you out, drive and kick three. It's all right, whatever you're going to give me. And there's a uniqueness, there's a beauty to it. Yeah, they score a crap ton of points. The way they put up 125 against Pacers or against the Knicks, they've only been held under 100 once, and that was the game before when they were held to 94 by the Knicks. But even though it's more offensively driven, they're physical as hell.
They really are.
Did you watch that second half against the Knicks? I mean, they were beating the Knicks up.
I did, and kind of a lot of that led by Pascal Siakam.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we talk a lot about this team, and no pun intended, but it's just the word, the pace that they play. I actually don't view it as a pace. I view it more as a flow. They kind of just look and see, what are you going to give me? And we will just kind of, like a waterbed, just kind of float into it and get there. And that's what they did. The first half, like I was saying, I thought was a really entertaining basketball game. And then Pacers made adjustments and the Knicks kind of ran out of gas, but they made it look easy. And like that second half started, and I'm sitting there going, oh, this game's over.
Yeah.
We're like 4 minutes into the third quarter, and you're like, oh, I thought it would get this maybe later.
Yeah, and the Pacers, the Cavs did this all season. They called it the Cavalanche, where they would just start rolling and then they just smoke a team, and you're just like, well, that was over.
Not letting up on the gas.
Yeah.
I mean, how many times? Look at the Knicks and their comebacks and all that ridiculousness.
And the Pacers just showed that they can do that at any point in time. And Halliburton had a bit of a rough half in the first half. Turned the ball over more than he typically does. I mean, you take a look.
Anything more than zero. Is a
yeah,
lot.
he had 4 in this game. You're like, God, he was sloppy with the ball.
Terrible.
But I mean, he comes out in the third quarter, just completely dominates. Helps put them on the front foot, and they really never lost that. And the Knicks made a little bit of a push, and you're like, well, maybe they can make it. No, nope, there it goes. And it's going to be really, really interesting because, teams always take on the identity of their best player. And Tyrese Halliburton is their best player. Pascal Siakam gets the Eastern Conference Finals MVP. And, some people are like, well, that's kind of weird. It's like, well, Pascal was really good all series long. But Tyrese has this deal. We've been talking about this for the last couple of weeks. He's one of the more unique players in the NBA where, and I can't remember who said it on the broadcast. I think it was Stan Van Gundy. You can coach pace all you want. The pace you play at is what your point guard says it's going to be. Mm-hmm. That's what it is. And the Pacers have done an incredible job as a team of getting up and playing at Halliburton's pace, whether he's on the ball or not. I thought one of the astute observations that they were finally calling out was the Pacers were making baskets in under 4 seconds off of made Knicks baskets. And it wasn't always Halliburton. One time it was Nesmith. Another time it was McConnell. Another time it's Pascal Siakam. It's like just run out. But it's this ethos from Halliburton that kind of comes out from them. And then the other side of it, you just got to give Kevin Pritchard all the love in the world for assembling this team with, the only, top 10 picks they have aren't guys that are really in their top 8 in Benedict Mathurin and Jarris Walker, hopefully we'll get some news on today. Hopefully his leg isn't broken.
Yeah.
I mean, that ankle roll and the way his leg bowed did not look good. But those guys aren't
They're
featured.
Not a factor right now.
Like, you've got Pascal Siakam was a late pick, and Halliburton was a 12th pick. And, just kind of like, but they built this team.
And they all come through trades. And
I mean, the two trades that really built this team
Yeah.
was number one, trading for Oladipo and Sabonis,
sending
Paul George to OKC, and obviously that helped build OKC. It's super interesting.
The Paul George NBA Finals.
But everybody talks about the Sabonis for Halliburton trade, but the Oladipo trade is part of the James Harden trade going to Houston, and LeVert going to Houston. And then the picks they got for that ended up turning into Shepherd and Nembhard. And then they flipped another one of those picks from another deal that ended up becoming Nesmith from the Celtics. And they just kind of see how they made all these moves on the margins around them to build kind of like this perfect chaos engine. And it's not big move after big move after big move or, tank. Like, the Pacers have never tanked.
I know they've never tanked. I grew up as a fan of the Pacers.
Like, they're always just like, well, we'll be competitive.
Yeah.
And so it's it's really interesting to see the team building dynamic come together in such a unique facet.
Well, and they're going to be the poster child, and OKC too, for that matter, that you don't have to tank.
You just need to have Paul George.
And you just need to have Paul George at some point. And basically, you don't even need, the big 3 days, I think we know are kind of over.
Yeah.
It's not financially viable. It's actually not basketball viable anymore either. And this team's doing it with, I don't know, if you combine Hallie and Siakam, you got 1.5 stars.
I'd say they're 2.
I mean, if you're an NBA head, for sure it's 2.
Yeah.
But to a casual, 1.5, 2?
Yeah.
Something like that. And I love Siakam because he's my kind of player because I'm a big defensive guy. But they're also, like I said, it's not Jason Tatum. It's not Steph Curry. It's not
although Halliburton,
Luka Doncic. It
should be bumping up into
and he
that.
Will. And so will
will
SGA. They will get to that, but they're not. But they're showing you can find your superstar. You don't have to draft a superstar. Like we say in the NFL, it's you got to draft your quarterback. You can kind of create them a little bit in the NBA, and that's what OKC has done. And I think more so because Hallie's not the MVP and SGA's the MVP, so you're kind of well, duh, he's really good. But the Pacers, we have seen that you can build a team and you can execute and play the way you want to play and not need a top 10 player in the NBA.
No, that's the thing is I think Halliburton is probably putting himself in that conversation.
After this run, I would hope so.
And, it's funny, the whole, being voted most overrated. And
by your peers.
Yeah. And look, I've been in the locker rooms.
Hallie's got a lot of spirit animal vibes for me.
Oh, God. Yeah.
Overrate that. That's a top 5 quote I've ever heard from an NBA player.
Well, then he dropped the edit. Did you see that?
Yep.
The Pacers in 6, the social media team, I'm sure, did for him because it went hard. It went it had the Knicks fans outside after winning the game talking a bunch of trash and throwing the trash on the Pacers fans.
Yeah, and they create Halliburton toys that they beat with sticks and stuff.
Yep, and then it shows Hallie ripping their soul out.
Yeah.
Did you have an issue with him pulling up from the logo at the end of the game and just letting that thing go?
No. And only because it's Pacers Knicks.
Right?
Only because it's Pacers
I mean,
Knicks.
I was like, he's not going to dribble this out. He wants to shoot this, and he just let it go, and it's nothing but cash. And I'm like,
if you
oof.
did that against Cleveland, if you did it against Boston, you do that in the finals, I'm going to be like, okay. And Hallie's kind of said, like, I don't think of these things. I think if I think of, like, when he did the choke and he pointed at Reggie, he was like, I didn't think I was going to do that. I think if you start planning to do that kind of stuff.
He had it in the back of his head. Like,
yeah, but if you plan to do
Yeah.
that stuff, it becomes kitschy.
Yeah.
And I think he's spot on with that. I think it's purely a Knicks thing.
I think-
purely a Knicks thing. Pacers Knicks are back, baby.
Yeah. And the best part about that is, and this is where I think Hallie is really getting it. We talked about this a couple weeks ago. Hallie's the new best heel in the NBA.
You think he's a heel?
Oh, yeah.
So he's
He's a huge wrestling guy.
well, I know he's a big wrestling guy. We were watching a game. We're watching one of these games, and we're like, "Oh my God, that's Triple H down there."
Yeah.
I know he's a big wrestling guy. Him and Brunson.
They know how to play to, like, basketball's a sport, but it's also entertainment, and Hallie gets how
Totally.
to be in, like, this is why I like guys like, to me, SGA and Tatum will never have the chance that, well, Tatum, SGA never will because he's Canadian. Like, you have to be American. Like,
Yeah.
Giannis, Jokic, Luka, like, they're just not. If you're international, it's almost impossible to be the face of the league.
Yeah.
But you also have to entertain.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing, is like, Halliburton gets how to be an entertainer.
But you think he's a heel?
Oh God, yes.
Really?
Oh yes.
Man, maybe I'm just sniffing my own farts too much because I think he's just lovely.
Oh no.
I find him fantastic.
But here's the thing, I love a great heel. Like, that's the thing. It's
I
like,
mean, it's true.
I'm drawn to it.
When we saw Triple H on the TV, I was like, guys, think about this. Triple H is a top 5 wrestler of all time.
Mhm.
And when The Rock and Stone Cold were at their absolute peaks, Triple H was the champ. Why do you think that is?
Yeah.
Because he's the best heel of all time.
Yeah.
And I guess I never just thought of Hallie as kind of being a bad boy. Like, he speaks really eloquently. I believe he's really smart, like high basketball IQ, but also just high IQ in general.
Yeah.
Kind of looks like a nice guy.
But that to me is what, like, makes
But
a
I-
great
But I
heel.
guess he is kind of
the
like
bad guy who
throwing
doesn't
daggers.
look. Yeah, the
It's
bad
like
guy
you
that doesn't look
turn
like a bad guy.
You turn your back and he's toot.
Yeah, and
Okay, all right. I will watch, because from here on, from prior to this conversation, I'm watching Hallie like a guy that I just want to root for.
Oh, no,
like,
look.
I'm all over this guy.
he's
Now
the
I'm
heel
gonna-
you can root for.
Now I'm gonna watch for him as a heel
That's the fun
because
part.
that's exciting. That's exciting to me. And if you're a Knick fan, you absolutely hate him, right? They absolutely.
Oh
hate
God,
him.
yes. But what's interesting
They're
is
going to hate that guy for 30 years. They could never play again in the playoffs. And Knicks fans,
Oh.
you and me are old Knicks fans at 7 years old doing this stupid radio show still, looking at each other going like, I hate John Broseph. And it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, but I don't hate him as much as I hate Tyrese Halliburton. You're like, damn, I do hate Tyrese Halliburton.
right. Like, there's
The
just
one
like,
series 30 years ago.
but I mean,
I really hate that guy.
he didn't get quite the hatred that Trey Young got because Trey really played into it.
Yeah.
You know, the F Trey Young chant and all that kind of stuff.
But Trey Young fell off. If Trey Young could have kept going a couple more years,
that's the thing.
to where I think this looks like, I mean, we'll get to the Knicks here in a second. They've got some soul searching to kind of figure out. But if they can keep this track going and we get Pacers Knicks every year in some round of the playoffs, baby, buckle up.
Love it.
It's going to be fun. Speaking of that, let's switch over to the other side of the ball. The New York Knicks go home in kind of a whimper. There were some signs of really fun life in this team, and then it all kind of just fell apart. Where is that fault? Where does that lie? And I've got an interesting take on a plus side of the Knicks that I'm excited to go. But before we do that, we'll toss it to Rusty with sports.
Now, from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
This update brought to you by 808 Hawaiian Restaurant. Mixed plates like Grandma used to make. If your grandma were from the Big Island, Woodstock, Burnside, Beaverton, or online at ate-oh-ate.com. First on the Fan, after the Pacers eliminated the Knicks in Game 6 on Saturday, the NBA Finals are indeed set. Game 1 coming up on Thursday at the Paycom Center in Oklahoma City. The Thunder are early 9-point favorites. ESPN Shams Charania reporting the Suns have narrowed their head coaching search down to 2 candidates, Cavaliers assistants Johnny Bryant and Jordan Ott. Over on the Diamond, the Mariners off today after taking 2 of 3 from the Twins. The Orioles now hit Seattle for a 3-game set starting tomorrow. The M's lead over the Astros in the AL West, now down to just a half game. The Stanley Cup playoffs are on hiatus until the final begins on Wednesday at Rogers Place in Edmonton, with the Oilers hosting the Panthers. Florida looking to hoist Lord Stanley's Cup for the second straight year, while Edmonton looking to become the first Canadian winner since 1993. And in the NFL, Lions center Frank Ragnow announced his retirement this morning. Ragnow was a first-round pick in 2018 and a four-time Pro Bowl selection. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk. Hurt and missing work? Insurance companies acting like jerks? Don't call your mom. Call George McCoy at WarrenAllen.com.
It's back. The 11th annual Fan Golf Classic at Langdon Farms Golf Club happens Tuesday, June 24th. Presented by your local Toyota dealers. Reserve your foursome now at 1080thefan.com.
Coming up in the second hour at 1 o'clock, we'll talk to Tyler Rucker of No Ceilings. We'll get an NBA draft preview. Looking at the Blazers. I got some baseball stuff, too, I'm going to want to get into. And also, deep P. Harris cut if you're listening to me on the radio. Final was on Saturday. And boy, was that just a barn burner.
The French still pretty good at it.
I could actually talk Champions League final for an hour.
Yeah. No, I'm
It wasn't even that great of a game,
Yeah.
but I just love Champions League. But sticking in the association, we just got finished going through the Pacers, and I'm so excited to talk to you, Danny, as kind of a diehard hooper, and me, who's a casual, former diehard, but more of a casual these days, on the same page about how fun this Pacer team is. But flipping it over to the Knicks. As somebody who has never really rooted for the Knicks and for most of my life rooted against the Knicks, it's kind of the hard conversation to think, well, how do you help this team get better? This team exposed some weaknesses, and I think this team, whether it was the media hype machine or something, I think this team was sold to us as a better team than they actually are.
I can see that from a couple different perspectives, because you've got Jalen Brunson, you make
Who's super fun.
who is, and you make the big splashy trades for not only Karl Anthony Towns but for Mikal Bridges.
And I love
Anunoby.
Bridges' game.
Look, I mean, it's a lot of really good players, and you've got Tibbs, who, as a coach, you either love him, you hate him. There's really no in between. But they have a lot of questions now because they expended so much capital in making those moves for OG, for Mikal. They got Brunson. They were able to pay him and get him for a little bit cheaper because of his dad, really. Rick Brunson, who's on the coaching staff. And Jalen wants to be there. And, you've got the Villanova connection between him and Mikal, and Dante, who obviously is out now. But they do have some big questions to answer. Do they keep Mitchell Robinson, even though his health is always an issue? Is Karl Anthony Towns the right fit, like for that, especially for that much money? And that's Keith Smith of Spotrac had this going into Game 6. If the Pacers had won, this would be the first time in the luxury tax era that two teams, the Pacers and the Thunder, are not luxury tax payers. And like, what's really interesting is this is something I've been saying for a couple months now, is that the NBA eras are kind of becoming defined by the CBA. Like
Without a doubt.
Like,
We're seeing the turn right here
because you
on
had
the new one.
you had the Big Three era before that. You had the early luxury tax era where teams were spending, but not like a little. Then you had the late teens era, the 20 teens where you just spent out of your gourd, like the Warriors with that $500 million tax
And you
bill.
and you like trade assets, but it was all down the line. You just didn't care. It
Somebody
was like
else's problem.
Debt on debt
Yeah.
on debt kind of thing.
You're just like, that's somebody else's
Steph's going
problem.
to retire in
Yeah.
in 10 years, but we're going to get 4 championships out of then, and that team can deal with it then.
Yeah, whoever's
it's
ready-
almost like Shohei and the Dodgers. It's like, yeah, we got to pay him $800 million, but we'll deal with that in 10 years.
It's fine. We'll now you have to be a lot more prudent. And the Knicks are a team historically that haven't spent, even though James Dolan's worth billions, they haven't really spent a ton here or there. They haven't been like the cheapest team in the league, but they have kind of waffled. And you talk about the complications of the new CBA with the aprons and how they can impact your team building. The Knicks have a lot of decisions to make. They have to figure out their depth. They have to figure out Mikal Bridges' extension, which you would imagine when they make that trade for him and Jalen Brunson takes a little bit of discount. That's already
You have to think.
pre-worked.
And they're probably talking about that too.
Yes, but you have to look at Karl Anthony Towns because he's so expensive and his volatility. Like he can be
Look
very.
at you being nice.
Look,
Look at you being nice on the big guy.
he's a good player.
He's a great player.
He's a very good player, but like you're already dealing with one player in Jalen Brunson who has flaws that you have to overcome. And it's it's very interesting. The 4 finalists in the conference finals were all guard driven. Like
that's
which is
been the kind of narrative
kind
we've been
of-
talking about for the last couple weeks.
kind of weird.
It's kind of old school a little.
It is, but it's you're kind of like, okay, is this a flash in the pan, or is like has ball handling and creation and playmaking like pop back up in as far like it's like in the NFL where the running game is coming back more around. You're maybe seeing the viability of creative guards being more intrinsic and more important in the things that you value.
Look around some of the other teams that aren't quite there. Who's the best player on Detroit? A guard.
Yeah.
Who's the best player on the Lakers? A guard.
Both big guards.
Both big guards,
But
but,
that's where-
they're guards.
But that's the thing is, even though Cade and Luka, obviously Luka's defense was complete cheeks, and he's hopefully getting it together. As much as I hate the Lakers, I love Luka. So
there's no reason not to root for him.
and like, dude, get in shape and go become an all timer, please. Like you're incredible. Please don't.
I would like to tell my children I watched you play basketball.
yes, and not that you gave it up after 12 years because you just couldn't stay in shape. But
I mean, I love cheeseburgers and beer.
yeah, right. Who doesn't, right? Like, I'm not faulting the guy, but this is the job.
I'm gonna drink so much beer today.
Oh yeah, that's what Vegas is for, buddy. But you take a look at kind of what the Knicks are. They have to kind of overcome Jalen's inefficiencies already, and they've supported that by getting 2 of the best perimeter defenders in the league,
Sure.
Mikal Bridges and OG Anunoby. Like that's how you do that. But Cat is interior defense. Now you've got
Does not exist.
It's a perimeter liability and an interior liability. And yes, you're good on the wings. Hell, you're great on the wings. But you can't play Mitchell Robinson all the time because of his offense. Like you put the more constraints you put on yourself at various positions. And this isn't to say the Blazers team building philosophy is perfect. It's not. But look at what they've prioritized over the last couple of years as they've reset and gone all the way through. They're quite literally the biggest team in the NBA.
Okay.
And that helps overcome a lot of inefficiencies. Now, it doesn't overcome for everything, but it gives you more margin of error. Like if you've just got a guard like Luka. Luka doesn't have to be the best defender in the world, but he's 6'8" and 275 pounds. And if you talk to any NBA player that has played against him, they will all tell you the same thing.
He's big.
He's one of the strongest dudes in the league. It's just, it's that Balkan farm strength, man. Like he, like
In my country, vodka drink you.
it's one of my favorite things to talk to the young players about over the last couple of years is when they play Luka, and hilariously when they play Steven Adams.
Yeah.
Steven Adams is probably the strongest guy in the league.
Yeah.
And like asking Donovan Clingan, who was a guy that stood out. It was on the podcast about 6 weeks ago. And I was like, who's a guy that stood out? Like, doesn't have to be a star. He goes, Steven Adams.
Really?
He's like,
you gotta love hearing that
oh,
from him.
and I was like, well, what
Because
about
I
him?
love Steven
Oh,
Adams.
he's
I also do a
great.
show with Joe Fisher, and he won't shut up about Steven
Look,
Adams.
Steven Adams is great, and he's a great team guy, great locker room guy, floor riser, all that kind of stuff. But he goes, I've never in my life not been able to push somebody around. He's like, it was like trying to move a tree. And you just even though Steven Adams is the most explosive, he's not as fleet of foot, you can't do anything with him.
Right.
And that, he's a solid rim protector. You can only get him for so many minutes, but knowing that when he's on the floor, you're going to be better defensively, you're going to rebound the ball better, you're going to have a guy that's just going to do these things for you. It allows you to kind of build, not that you build around him, but you can build out with him, knowing what you have to work with is in whatever facet it is elite. Or you have something to over compensate for some other deficiency. Even though Steven Adams isn't scoring, it doesn't matter because defensively you're so much better with him on the floor.
Right. I think, Joe Fisher and I were talking about this on the Hot Corner every Tuesday night from 7 to 9,
Thank you,
wherever you
good
get your podcasts.
Babe.
And Joe brought this up, and I got to give him credit for it. And he said it, and I just think it's so spot on. The Knicks make everything look so hard. Like they're so energy hustle driven that at times when it's not working, they look like they're just trying so hard and nothing comes natural to them. And I think that's part of it. That Cat's a liability because he only sits on the perimeter, doesn't go inside, so there's no rebound capabilities there. And Brunson is not the best shooter in the world. He's got he's got the juice, but he's not the best shooter in the world. So it's like every time I watch this team, they have to work so hard. Like nothing comes easy for them.
Look at the Pacers and look how
everything comes easy to
flows
them.
and
it just does it.
Yeah.
And that's why, but the flip side of that is why I actually think Tibbs is a really good coach for this team because he is getting the absolute most out of them.
I think
somebody else on this would have they might have lost to the Celtics, even with Tatum going down.
Tibbs has his flaws and he has his shortcomings and there was this, that, or
But
the
there's
other.
no pure scorer on the team in the first place.
I mean, Brunson, yeah.
Yeah, but again, it's a north-south. It's driving down the lane.
And he's not as great a creator as a guy like Hallie. And
Right.
Would Hallie work on this team better? I don't know. Because you look at the rest of that team, they kind of need Brunson to be that guy because nobody else is a guy that can put the ball down the floor and create.
I think if Hallie is on the Knicks, I think they're asking too much of him.
Probably.
I think they want him to score 25 a night.
But that's the thing is, you look at the Pacers,
He doesn't have to.
They have multiple guys that can put the ball down and make a little additional creation where, again, when you're talking about the Knicks, the things that they probably need is a little bit more creation as do you look to trade Karl Anthony Towns and maybe get somebody who's not as good at that position, but you get more depth throughout your roster? You get another plus creator. You get a bench wing or a bench guard that can offer some defensive resistance that Jalen Brunson doesn't, but also gives you some offense, or you just double down on offense. That's the thing. The Pacers aren't this great defensive team. We're going to see how they match up against the Thunder.
Yeah.
But offensively, they're a machine.
They're great. They're top to bottom, 1 through 5, great. I mean, 1 through 7, 1 through 8, great. Yeah, so what is it, in your opinion, that this team's got to do? Because all the talking heads are go get Durant, go get Giannis, trade Cat, blah, blah, blah.
I mean,
don't know
Giannis
if it's
wants to
that
go to New
easy.
York.
I don't know if it's that easy.
There's only so many landing spots.
Right.
For
and there's
Karl
only
Anthony
so many
Towns.
exactly. Because Cat, if they trade Cat, dude, this is your second team in a row that it just ain't working.
But here's the other thing.
And sometimes you got to look in the mirror and it might be your fault.
It's not.
But it might not be. He might just not be in the right situation.
I think he's been good there, and I think the Randall and Cat trades have kind of worked out for both teams in some roundabout fashion. But
both disappointing.
Well, here's the thing. It's not disappointing though.
No,
the New York Knicks have made back-to-back runs. If they don't get injured last year, they're right there.
So have the T-Wolves.
But that's my point.
I think I'm stuck in recency bias because Randall had himself a rough series against
especially
OKC.
the last two games. Yeah. But to your point, the Timberwolves, the Knicks, and the Pacers, the likelihood is the Thunder are going to win the finals.
Right.
Those three teams are not disappointing.
No, I think you're right. We get caught in the Anthony Edwards not showing up to the prime time, or
23.
Yeah, or the Knicks having all these challenges. But the reality is A, OKC's that good, but B, we're also just watching 4 teams kind of showing themselves as maybe the best 4 teams for a few years to come.
That's the thing is you can't
4 or 5 more years.
You can't can't count your chickens before they hatch.
No.
But making it to the conference finals, look, the Blazers made the one in 2019. They get swept, and yes, they had the double-digit leads. Was it 13 points or up to 13 points?
But that
in
wasn't
every
really
game, but
indicative of where they were going.
no,
That was just the ceiling.
And that's the thing is, you look at the Timberwolves, you look at the Pacers, you look at the Knicks, and you're like, well, I mean, in the East, Dame's out for at least a year.
Yeah.
Tatum's out for at least a year.
Mhm. But you expect Boston to be back.
Not back though. Not without Tatum.
Yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong.
No, not next year. I'm talking in 2 years.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
But I'm saying-
assuming he heals
But
and
you're looking at the window if you're one of those teams. Like you're hearing now that Toronto Raptors, like they want to go big game hunting this offseason because they're looking at the landscape in the
they're
East
kind
and
of
going,
going, this is our shot.
like
it's like
this could be open.
It's like Jordan just retired and Akeem's licking his chops. He's like, let's do this.
Yeah, what's Miami doing?
Yeah, yeah.
And what's Cleveland going to do? Because Cleveland is,
Are they going to deal Garland? How are they going to retool?
Yeah,
Right.
And so
You're right, dude.
I don't
Like,
want to make it to the conference finals multiple years in a row is an achievement, man. Like,
yeah, let's not kill him for it.
oh my God, they came up short. One team wins,
You're
man.
right. OKC could be, we'll get to the finals preview in the 2:00 hour. OKC could be this dominant team that rattles off, Warriors type titles, but that's not a for sure yet. And as great as we feel about them in this year's playoff run, you're totally right. You're looking at 5 or 6 teams with a window, and your window's now. Steph's on his way out, Durant's aging, and he'll go anywhere you send him. Yeah. Fascinating.
It's fun.
I forgot how much I love basketball.
It's fun. And here, like, we haven't really talked about this yet. Maybe we talk about this today, sometime this week. Everybody is preparing for a very, very explosive summer.
That's awesome. Everybody loves movement.
It's shaping up to be pretty big.
It's fantastic.
So
it's like the good part of the transfer portal because we know these guys.
Yeah,
so you can just transfer wherever you
yeah,
want.
we know where you like. And that's I think we're gonna get news on Giannis in the next probably 10, 14 days.
That's awesome.
And
I can't wait.
whether he stays or goes. And I as crazy as it sounds, I think he's gonna leave.
I think I saw one the other day that said as of yesterday, the odds of him going to Toronto were plus 4,000, and today it's down to plus 1,100.
Yeah,
Whoa.
I don't see Toronto.
Do people really bet on that?
Oh God, yes.
Really?
Yeah, and the problem is like the newsbreakers can really alter that stuff because it's all intel based.
Right, right.
It's not outcome based in the sense of like a game, but yeah, it's
Dude, that's a whole level of gambling I'm not interested in. We'll ask Buck at 3:00 if he's gambling on where players might go.
No.
That sounds like a Buckley thing.
Oh yeah, he's also the captain of choosing correctly the first round leader at a PGA Tour event.
Yeah, what is that?
Yeah.
All right. Well, speaking of Patrick reminding himself of how much he loves basketball, Danny, I want to run this by you. Can I be a Pacers fan? We'll do that next. This is Danny and Dusty on 1080 The Fan. possible, but not impossible.
What is Colorado Rockies?
Coming up in the 1 o'clock hour, we'll have Tyler Rucker on from No Ceilings. We'll chat a little Blazer draft as that is looming quickly, getting here soon. I got some interesting questions.
I just had to double check, and my text messages are blowing up right now. Weird. 23 days. Holy crap.
23
We are
days.
a little more than 3 weeks away. Wednesday, 3 weeks away.
23 days, so that'll be exciting. We'll have him on, and we'll chat a little Blazers draft. We'll have the worst day on the web, as we always do. Talk a little football. And you know I'm not going to get away with not talking about basketball or baseball. But speaking, we're sticking in the association. A little basketball heavy. This is so weird, Danny.
Oh,
What are
no
you doing
way.
to me?
Basketball
doing
heavy
to
on my
me?
show?
I suppose that's true. I suppose that's true. I was like watching some basketball. I was like, man, I think I actually know what I'm talking about. And my wife looks at me and she goes, well, you've been watching basketball every night.
It's okay.
Give me the look like you didn't used to do this, Patrick.
Thankfully, my wife is a basketball fan. She goes with my father-in-law to games and has
Okay,
been going
great.
for years.
Yeah.
And so even if she's not fully interested in the game, she is totally fine
'Cause she
posted
loves
up on
the
the
sport
couch.
basketball. Yeah.
And she's like, and playoff basketball, she loves. Like
Mhm.
she's asking me questions like, "Who's this guy?" You know what I mean, kind of deal. And to your point, like, can you be a Pacers fan? She loves Hallie.
Well, and for me, what's fascinating is I grew up, I'm one of those people, basketball was great in the 90s, and I wish it was still the 90s. I'm not total that, but I am a little bit that. Because that's when I grew up. That's when I played basketball. I loved basketball. That was my favorite sport. My favorite player of all time is Reggie. That's my guy.
No kidding.
He was always my guy as a kid.
Awesome.
Always my guy as a kid. And still to this day, people rag on him about his announcing, and I'm like, shut up. Reggie's
You know what
the
I love
best.
about Reggie? You can hate him all you want as far as his broadcast.
He's a
stuff.
heel.
He is.
He's a heel.
But he loves the game.
He does love the game.
And that's like, we need more of that and not and less of the other crap.
And so for me, like growing up, I grew up in Spokane. I was a big Pacer fan because I loved Reggie. And the battles between us and the Knicks were legendary. Winner got to play Michael and lose. And then when Michael left the Bulls, Winner got to go to the finals and lose to Shaq and Kobe or Robinson and Duncan. So those battles were fun, and I was a Pacer fan. But then when we moved to Portland, I just became, Reggie was starting to get out of the league. He was aging, and I just kind of left the Pacers and became a Blazer fan for regionality. And now I sit here and it's kind of like, hey, who do you care who wins? And it's like, well, I hate the Knicks. Why do you hate the Knicks? Was because I grew up a Pacer fan. Oh, uh-oh. Go Pacers?
Yeah.
Can I
Dude,
get
look-
one of those yes sirs shirts?
Oh, yeah. Dude, so it's funny that you mentioned that.
It's like, I'm back, baby. And it's like, oh, you're back because you're good, huh? I feel like the most ultimate bandwagon right now.
Caitlin Cooper, who writes for the Indiana Pacers, she has a Patreon called Basketball She Wrote. She's one of the best writers in all of basketball.
Yeah.
She's so smart. We've had her on the show a couple times. On her website, she's got some merch. And so I actually did buy 2 shirts off of her website the other day that hopefully will be here. It says the order will be here on Thursday. So
All right.
just in time for game 1 of the finals. Tyrese Halliburton is such a unique player. He makes jump passes purposefully, which are normally a death sentence, but he's great at them. So I got a jump passes are cool t-shirt that she had made. And the other one, I can't remember the other one. It was like ethical hoops, and it was like the cornfields of Indiana. And I was like, yes.
Ethical hoops.
Yes.
I love that.
I am all in on this. But no.
This has rekindled so much. Like I watch Pascal Siakam, and I'm like, is that Antonio Davis playing basketball?
There's Spicy P's fun. If you like a nice ornery irritant, TJ McConnell is just like this pesky little floor slapping white dude who just everyone loves.
Where's my Mark Jackson? I need my Mark Jackson.
I mean, he's kind of
like Mark Jackson.
Yeah, TJ's like, because Hallie's more Steve Nash.
Yeah,
like
totally.
Like the way he sees the floor is just so unique and so interesting. But like Aaron Nesmith is this tough, hard-nosed dude who's just going to get after you. Nemhard's going to be this irritant. Miles Turner has the capacity to just do dope stuff, and you're just like, he had kind of a disappointing series against the Knicks.
I would agree. But like we said, they didn't need him. They kind of just.
And that's the thing is like, is he more impactful against the Thunder? Because
Maybe.
he can stay on the floor against some of those.
He'll
teams.
have the
Like,
length, yeah.
And it's like, okay, how does this work out? But no, I think it's really weird because you have 2 small market teams, 2 of the smallest market teams, in OKC and Indiana, but it feels like outside of Oklahoma City and New York, the entire country is pulling for the Pacers.
Is it that way?
Yeah.
Have we already decided that OKC is a dynasty and we don't want to root for
We
them?
no, not only that, there's still the stink of leaving Seattle.
You think so?
Oh God, yes.
Really?
Oh yeah.
I mean, I know up here I feel it.
But I mean,
Well, and they mentioned the other day it was like the OKC hasn't won a title since 1978, and I was like,
well, no,
I wouldn't say that.
Yeah,
too
no. The thing
loud."
is, like, when Seattle gets their team back, and they will in the next, probably
Handful of years,
go in
yeah.
a couple months. But Seattle's getting all the records and
I'm
everything
sure.
back. So it's.
But I heard that and I was like,
Their records will go back to 2008.
I wouldn't say that
Yeah.
out loud too
Yeah,
much.
their records are not going to be 20 or not going to be even 20 years old. So they got to give all that up. But no, I'm 100%. Look, I will probably pick the Thunder to win this series, which shouldn't be shocking. But I do see a path for the Pacers winning this, and if the Pacers win this will be one of the best runs we've ever seen from a team in a season.
I think that's what makes them so fun. I think we'll actually get to the nitty gritty of the finals. I know I keep saying this in the 2:00 hour, but it's weird. It's almost like, it's like I said earlier. It's almost like OKC has already been crowned.
Yep.
And it's almost like we've decided they're going to be a dynasty, and let's hate them before it's too late. Like people really didn't hate the Warriors until like the second Durant title.
Yes.
Then it was kind of like, I don't like you guys. But then Durant leaves and they won that fourth, and everyone was kind of like, oh yeah, I forgot that I like you guys. It feels like we don't want to go through that again. So let's just hate the Thunder now.
Which is kind of what we did with the Celtics.
Yeah.
Because when you see it
And
coming,
I'm a Jason Tatum apologist. I absolutely love him.
okay, so you're a rare breed.
I absolutely love him.
Outside of Boston, those don't exist.
I don't understand it. I don't understand why everybody hates him.
He's aesthetically unpleasing.
Oh, I love watching him.
It looks like he's having a spasm in the middle of his jumper, and I can't get over it.
See, and I feel that way about Jalen Brunson. I watch Jalen Brunson,
Oh, no.
and I'm like, bro, why is this so difficult?
No, I get
You
it.
are really good at basketball. Why do you look like me out there in 8th grade?
Because he's 6'1".
Yeah.
That's why.
And that's so funny. Yeah, I never understood. It's like Jason Tatum can't be a superstar. What do you mean he's not a superstar? He's in like Gatorade commercials.
He's like the fifth best player in the NBA.
Yeah,
Totally fine.
His knee went out and it changed the landscape of the entire thing,
Yeah, no.
Western Conference included.
Very interesting.
Yeah, I'm Pacer. I'm a full-on Pacer fan now, man. I was when I was a kid, and I'm back, baby.
Well, we're in the break. I'll throw a poll up and see who's voting for who. You pulling for the Pacers or the Thunder, and we'll give maybe revisit.
We'll
that
see.
later in
We'll
the
see
show.
what they do. All right, loaded second hour coming up. We'll talk to Tyler Rucker from No Ceilings about this year's Blazer draft, their intentions. Plus, I would like to get into some baseball. There is a dude with a big dump that be doing big time things, and I want to know how far that can go. Loaded second hour. Don't go anywhere. Danny and Dusty, 1080 The Fan.
Market
George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk. A Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
If you've been arrested for DUI, you need a team of attorneys into whom you can place your trust. Call Reynolds Defense Firm today, online at reynoldsdefensefirm.com. First on The Fan. After the Pacers eliminated the Knicks in Game 6 on Saturday, the NBA Finals are now all set. Game 1 coming up Thursday at the Paycom Center in Oklahoma City. The Thunder are early 9-point favorites. ESPN Shams Charania reporting the Suns have narrowed their head coaching search down to 2 candidates, Cavaliers assistants Johnny Bryant and Jordan Ott. Over on the baseball diamond, the Mariners off today after taking 2 of 3 from the Twins. The Orioles hitting Seattle for a 3-game set starting tomorrow. The M's lead over the Astros in the AL West, now down to just a half game. Stanley Cup playoffs on pause until the Stanley Cup final, begins on Wednesday at Rogers Place in Edmonton, with the Oilers hosting the Panthers. Florida looking to hoist Lord Stanley's Cup for the second straight year, while Edmonton looking to become the first Canadian winner since 1993. And in the NFL, Lions center Frank Ragnow announced his retirement this morning. Ragnow was a first-round pick in 2018 and a 4-time Pro Bowl selection. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk. Hurt and missing work, insurance companies acting like jerks. Don't call your mom. Call George McCoy at warrenallen.com.
The Hot Corner, now in its new time. Tuesdays at 7 after Isaac and Sue on Portland's sports leader, 1080 The Fan. Danny and Dusty.
All right, my rock smashes your scissors. Oh, no, not these scissors, pal. This is a special titanium steel alloy developed by NASA for the space program. These scissors that smashed you and rocked to smithereens. No, not this rack. This rack happens to be kryptonite.
With the latest on the Blazers, Ducks, Beavers, and the hottest topics in sports.
Hey, what's happening, Norm?
It's a dog-eat-dog world, Sammy, and I'm wearing milk-bone underwear.
Danny and Dusty on the Odyssey app and 1080.
No!
The Fan.
Welcome to the second hour of Danny and Dusty. Patrick Harris with you in for Dusty Hurrah. Danny Meringue to my left, Jeff Rust on the ones and twos. Dusty Venetian is what he's going to be called today.
I mean, with Dusty, he's gone from the fan man to the brand man.
The brand man?
Yeah, he doesn't get to choose his new name. He's not Kobe.
I've been really enjoying the Dusty Casinos. I'm going to ride that one
there you
for
go.
a while.
I like it. Go to Harris.
Yeah. Dusty Circus. Dusty Venetian.
Yeah.
Dusty Mandalay Bay.
It works.
Dusty Flamingo. All right. If you missed any of the first hour, you can download that, the Fan Podcast, wherever you get your podcasts at 1080thefan.com, the Odyssey app, or places that rhyme with basketballify. And without further ado, we turn it over. We have Tyler Rucker from No Ceilings coming on the program to talk a little Blazer draft. And Tyler, how you doing today, my friend?
I'm doing great. It's always a joy this time of the year with the draft getting crazy, and thank you guys for having me on. I always enjoy this one.
Yeah, do you ever get worried that people only like you because we're 25 days away from the draft?
You know what? It's just so busy this time of the year. It doesn't really set in until probably months after. But now that you're bringing it to me, yeah, probably the anxiety will kick in a little bit. But no, it's fun. It's a fun time for everyone to get excited. I kind of feed off that energy because I'm like, yeah, let's talk basketball. Well, no better way.
Tyler, obviously the Blazers, they fall back in draft position back to 11. We have the weirdness that happens on lottery night with the top 3 being the most cursed top 3 in NBA history. And how that thing's going to shake things out. When you look at this Blazers team and you look at this roster, they have so much young depth already. When you're trying to see, project the board, and you guys at No Ceilings, you guys just put out your latest big mock. When you guys look at the Blazers in that range, who do you think is the best player available, and is that best player available the best fit?
It's tough for a team like Portland, which, I watched a lot of their games this year because it's just one of those things where you like to watch the young teams that are kind of built into the draft. And it's like, okay, what direction could they go in? And Portland's quickly putting so many impressive pieces together. They found gold with Toumani Camara. They've got a lot of intriguing guys that I think are also ready to take that next step this year. So it gets tough with a team like that when you're projecting them in the draft because, obviously we could say they can go best player available, but at some point when you keep kind of doubling down on that, do you try to also kind of look at like, hey, what does the roster need a little bit? Now, I'm always a big believer of like, hey, trust your board, and if it's the best player available by far, and it just happens to be a position you're pretty deep at, I still think you go with the talent. But Portland, I think, is really close to kind of taking that next leap. I thought, last year they really showed some stuff of a young team on the rise, and I think this is going to be a big year for them, and I think that's why this pick's going to be so interesting. So, a name to kind of throw out that is a really popular name right now, but I think Carter Bryant would be a really interesting fit with this Blazers team just because of the athleticism. You pair him with, someone like Scoot and Shaedon Sharpe on the perimeter. That's really fun in transition. And then Carter just kind of, matured pretty quickly this year when it came to like figuring out how to make an impact without, being the go-to bucket guy. So I think he's one of the better defensive wings in this class. So you're even talking about, putting him with Toumani Camara. I mean, Carter's just one of the most popular names right now. So I think that would be a name that it would be like an upside swing for me, but also like a really good fit with a team like the Blazers that are kind of starting to build some nastiness defensively.
For those that aren't intimately familiar with the draft, the profiles and a guy like Carter Bryant, who traditionally would have been somebody people would have seen come through here more regularly in the Pac-12 era, but I don't like necessarily doing direct comps. But when you're talking about a guy somebody might recognize, who does Carter Bryant kind of remind you of when he comes in the league, and who could he ultimately kind of project as?
Yeah, he's a fun one. A lot of us in No Ceilings, we've been trying to kind of talk about like who he reminds us of, and it's just one of those things where this year coming into the freshman, I'd seen him the last couple of years, and he's put on a ton of weight, a ton of muscle. All the intel checks out. You hear a lot of good stuff about him when it comes to his work ethic, his character. His interviews I've heard have been fantastic. So projecting him, I think he's got a lot more offensive upside than he shows. But like OG Anunoby, who's with the Knicks right now, has been a popular name a lot of our guys have thrown around. I have weird vibes. I kind of see like a little bit of like a Shane Battier with some crazy athleticism. Just kind of starting out, which is, you're saying picking that in the 11th spot, you might be like, what? But it's like, hey, if you get a guy playing, 13 plus years in the NBA with athleticism, you'd sign up for that right away. So I also think like another Arizona Wildcat, but like he's like Andre Iguodala a little bit. He doesn't have the handles. That's what kind of needs to be worked on with his game. Iguodala is much better like playmaker and ball handler, but much better shooter than Iggy was. So kind of a little bit of vibes in there, but you think about it and you're like, hey, those are three pretty good names to have around. So it's one of those players that's the big upside swing that if you look at his stats, you'd probably be like, why didn't he play more? And I think a lot of scouts were asking that question this year, like, hey, why does he play more? But it was a veteran roster, and he found a way to make an impact. He was playing a lot towards the end of the year.
Tyler Rucker joins us from No Ceilings. We're talking NBA draft here. I love that you mentioned that the Blazers might be in a point where they feel like one more guy can make it happen. I think we kind of all assume that 1, 2, and 3 go the way we think. Could you by chance see the Blazers make a move and jump up in this draft to see if there is that missing piece that's more in like the 6 or 7 range, or do you think they'll be happy staying at 11?
It's one of those things especially with Portland. I feel like every time we do a mock draft, myself included, I feel like you get to them and you're just kind of a headache. Like, gosh, they could go in any direction here. So I do think if you want, there's a little bit of a drop off after that 6-7 spot. Now we don't know what teams like Washington and New Orleans are. They might be willing to move back and get a bunch of future capital. And I'm a big believer of like, hey, if you have a guy you're in love with, go get your guy. So it wouldn't shock me if Portland's a team that says, hey, we're going to move up. We think this is the last piece we need at the puzzle to really have that foundation moving forward. Months ago, if you asked me about Colin Knippel, I thought it would be a dream fit for the Trailblazers, and I don't know if he's going to be there on the board still. So
he is not.
Maybe they could move up a little spot. So, but it gets really interesting. I'm also curious to see if they can maybe try to double down on maybe they try to trade out. Maybe they try to get a veteran, like they struck gold with the Denny Avdia deal. Maybe you can scan the market or find that again. So they're in a great spot because this is a really deep guard draft, but there's a run there in that lottery where there's a lot of teams that don't need a guard. So it could also, talk to some teams and be like, hey, well, if you want to come up and get your guard, give us a vet. Let us get another piece. So they're in a good spot. I know it's never fun to hear that when you're a Trailblazers fan. You're like, we're picking 11th, but they're in a good leverage opportunity, I think, with a lot of teams trying to come up, or they could try to see if they can get up themselves.
You know, the NBA draft is always very interesting because undoubtedly somebody will go in a position where we kind of go, well, that's interesting. The one that really jumps to my mind was when Cam Johnson went, 14 picks before anybody really thought he had a chance. I know particularly the Blazers had Cam Johnson on their board, and they ended up taking Nasir Little in that draft because they're like, oh, crap, Cam Johnson's gone, and a bunch of teams had to scramble. You know, you hear names like Cedric Coward, Rasheer Fleming's a guy who's got a lot of juice around him. Nate Clifford is a guy you and I who at Colorado State love. Who are some names that Trailblazers fans should watch, whether it's picking at 11 or let's say they like you mentioned, they move back because the Nets have 5 of the top 36 picks. You know, do the Blazers trade back and get 2 1s and somebody else or something along those lines, whatever machination? Who are some names you could see that kind of fly up a board and can kind of throw a wrench in, everyone's mocks?
Yeah, it's one of those years in which I think there's a lot of those names. You ask around the league right now, and you kind of get a different answer about each player. Like some teams are like, I could see him going lottery. Some are like, probably late first. And you get those each year, but this year it just seems there's such a variance with a lot of these names. Like Danny Wolf is kind of, I keep joking, I'm saying he's the joker in the deck of the whole draft. Like, I think some teams think like, hey, he could go early because it's one of those eye of the beholder players. 7-foot big man with guard skills. Wouldn't shock if he goes in the 20s. Wouldn't shock me if he's going, top 15, just because I think one team might look at him and be like, this is such a unique player. It could give us a fun wrinkle. I think Noah Essengay has been a popular name right now. The Blazers obviously play, Ratio Farmall in the preseason, so they know about him plenty, but he's just had a great end of the year. He's kind of the upside swing. When I had asked around the league, I had a scout was like, someone's taking him top 12. They're just like, I'm convinced someone's going to swing on him. So I think he's maybe the one that could throw a little bit of a wrench to some, but I think that's where you're getting the upside swing type of players that could really climb. And then, if Portland moves back, hypothetically, I'm just a big Nate Clifford fan. I think he's one of those really high floor players that's just going to find a way to make an impact in a number of different ways. And you can play him in, a couple different, rotation variances. So Cedric Howard's also another one. That was a good shout. A lot of teams right now are like, hey, I have him here. I think I'm too low. So it's going to be really interesting. There's a lot of names that some people are thinking, hey, they're going to shock the public. The public's not ready because they're going to go much earlier than people think.
Tyler, we'll get you out on this. We'll let you have a little bit of fun. How many games can the Pacers win in the NBA Finals?
Oh, gosh. 2?
2?
Yeah, 2. I think they'll get 2. It's so funny to think about, but like when you kind of look at it, I think they might match up pretty well, both teams. It should be a fun series. I know the NBA is probably pumped about the ratings, but I think it's going to be a really fun series. It's also pretty cool because it's two teams that have, in so many ways built through the draft or tried to kind of find some pieces that, second team opportunities. So for me, I geek out on that stuff because there's a lot of teams I think that are taking a page out of teams like OKC right now. I think the Blazers are one of them. I think the Blazers are like, hey, let's keep hitting on the draft. We don't got to hit home runs. We got to just keep hitting singles and doubles and triples, and all of a sudden you're going to look up and have a really deep roster.
That is Tyler Rucker from No Ceilings. Go check out the page and see what it's all about. We thank you so much for coming on.
Hey, absolutely. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Todd.
All right, that was Tyler Rucker from No Ceilings talking about the Blazers 2025 draft pick. I think he's on to something. I think this is probably the most important draft the Blazers have had of this generation. Like, you get a guy like Shaedon, you get a guy like Scoot, you get a guy like Donovan. Like, that's your core. This, I think, is the one. Can this put you over the edge? No matter what they do. Draft, trade out, trade up.
It is interesting because, we've talked about it earlier. SGA is not a top 10 pick.
Nope.
Tyrese Halliburton's not a top 10
Nope.
pick. Like J-Dub is not a top 10 pick. Like, you just look at all these guys and you're like,
Steph Curry's not a top 10 pick.
you just find these
wait,
guys.
yeah,
Yeah,
he
he
is.
was.
My
Yeah,
bad.
top 10. But
I got ahead of myself.
You had 2 Minnesota point guards go in front of him. He was the third point guard.
Yeah.
But no, he wasn't a top 5 pick.
Yeah.
You know, like you can find like Giannis is not a top 10 pick. You know, yes, you can. These are exceptions, not rules.
Right.
Like that's
right.
the whole point.
You can
But,
get a Draymond in the second round. Shane Battier is not a top 10 pick.
like finding those guys and making that make sense. And this is why I always say luck plays such a huge factor in this stuff.
It really
And-
does.
And nobody wants to admit it because you're not the controller of your destiny. But if the luck goes your way, and let's just say they take Carter Bryant. Let's say Carter Bryant turns into like some OG Anunoby, Andre.
I love that he
Iguodala.
said Shane Battier. I would die to have a 20-year career of a dude like that.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is if you're picking an 11, you get a guy like we talked about the Mike Conley, Greg Oden draft class. Like 4 of the 5 guys, basically, other than Greg, are still playing.
Yeah.
Like Al Horford still playing, Mike Conley still playing, Jeff
Durant's
Green
still playing.
Durant still playing,
Yep.
and you're like,
Yeah, Jeff Green.
you find guys that have 15+ year careers in the draft. No matter where you draft them,
Yeah.
you did good.
And I think it's just like you nailed it with the luck. With the way college basketball landscape is these days, you don't like SGA's 26.
Yeah.
And we didn't know he was going to be this till he was 24.
We knew he was going to be good,
but we didn't know how good.
Like
So it's like
you
you're
thought
getting-
maybe all-star.
Yeah.
And then it went from he's
might
an
be
all-star,
more.
and then it was like, there's another gear.
Yeah.
But like nobody, like that's why he was drafted where he was drafted. Nobody looked at him and was like, that's a future MVP.
You won't know if Scoot Henderson is worth a damn for probably 3 more years. Just because the kids are coming in so young.
Yeah. You come in the league at, Cooper Flag is going to start playing in the NBA at 18 years old.
Yeah, he's like he should be a senior in high school.
He should have been last year.
Yeah.
Yeah. This should have been his freshman year in college coming this next year. He turned 18 in December. So he will play 3 months basically in the NBA before he's 19 years old. And yet everybody's looking at him and going,
well,
that guy's a franchise defining
Yeah,
star.
I mean, we knew that with LeBron.
Mhm.
You know, there are guys that you just kind of know that with.
And
You
then the
knew
guy-
that with Hakeem. You
but
knew
even
that
the
with
guys
Patrick
that you
Ewing.
think with Zion and Ja, like
Exactly, but they don't.
It can blow up in your face.
And and both those guys could resurge,
Mm-hmm.
but outlook not so good right now.
Not great.
All right, coming up, you knew I wasn't going to get away with this, but I am going to get away with this. Let's talk a little baseball. We'll do that next. It's 121. Holy goodness! See me try to say 115. It's 121. Portland Sports Leader. Don't you forget it.
It's
Well, my name is Patrick Harris, and I host the Hot Corner on Tuesdays from 7 to 9 p.m. with my good buddy Joseph Fisher III. Doing that little ditty for 10 years now. 10 years on that stupid little baseball program.
It's crazy how fast it goes.
It is crazy. Yesterday was Lou Gehrig Day. It was ALS Awareness Day, so I want to give a big shout out to one of my closest, oldest friends in the world, Mr. Mike Lynch. I know you're not listening because you hate me, but if you were, happy Lou Gehrig Day.
Indeed. Shout out, Mike.
Mike is such a good sport with his situation going on that I was able to crack this joke to him. Big Yankee fan, so I would always tell you, like, hey, dude, there's a world that I can live in where I could argue that Lou Gehrig is the greatest baseball player of all time. And he's like, yeah, but it's probably like Mantle or Ruth. And then when Mike unfortunately was diagnosed with ALS, I went to him and I was like, see, dude, told you, man, just a matter of time before you'd come around on Lou Gehrig being the best Yankee of all time.
There you go.
I told that joke to my wife before I told it to him, and she was like, you cannot say that to him. You absolutely cannot say that.
It's either the best or the worst joke.
And he loved it. And so I went, whew. I did not say it in front of his wife or his parents, though. I don't know if they would have loved that.
No, probably not.
I don't know if they would have loved that. No. But speaking of Yankees-Dodgers this weekend was a fascinating series.
Got off to an electric start.
Yeah. Both these teams, in my opinion, are flawed in many ways, but also very dominant in other ways. Yeah, right. Apple TV, Friday night, trying to get your specialty game of the week. First inning, Judge goes deep. Bottom of the first inning, Shohei goes deep.
You like
Oh,
okay, I'm in.
All right, I'm watching this game.
And then what was it, 18-1?
Game 2 was a bust. Game 3 was a bust. It's just baseball. Like, World Series are not won in May or June. They can be lost, but they are not won in May or June. But it was fun to watch those two guys have a spectacle. And I thought it would be fun to have this convo with you a little bit, Danny, since you're the hooper here. The NBA, and I think in a negative way, handles the MVP crazy.
Yeah. They postponed it this year because they didn't want to do it in the middle of the Nuggets Thunder series.
Because they knew it wasn't going to be Jokic?
Well, the narratives that come out of it, and it's like, why are they doing, like, it's just so dumb.
And that's what's so weird about the NBA. There's MVP fatigue. Like, I don't understand that. Barry Bonds has 7 of these because,
it's because NBA
he
writers
has 7
were
of them.
so dumb for so long. It had to be somebody new. It's narrative based.
It's so weird to me.
Jordan should have more. LeBron should have more. It's just like, there was like, Kobe should have. No, he shouldn't. No.
He shouldn't. LeBron, you could argue, should have one every single year of his career.
I mean, they're for 10 straight years, you could say yes. To me, the MVP is like the best. Who's the best player in the world?
Right.
It's that simple to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, but for whatever reason, we can't do that, and I don't know why. Whereas in baseball, it's like, hey, was this guy the best player in the world? Yep. Okay. Keep it moving.
And that's kind of what I'm curious about, with Judge and Shohei being on stage, in the bright lights and doing the things they do and being as awesome as they are. Neither of them lead the American League or the National League in home runs. That would be the big dumper, Cal Raleigh. Cal Raleigh is on pace to hit 69 home runs. Nice. And yes, the big dumper hitting 69 would be maybe the greatest inside dirty office joke you could ever make in your entire life. My question is, the Yankees are a lot better than the Mariners. However, the Mariners are playing good baseball. If the Mariners get into the playoffs and the dump hits 50 home runs, can he upstage Judge for an MVP if Judge hits 60?
No, because the New York machine.
God, that really breaks my heart. This dude hits home runs in the 7th inning in tie ball games. Yeah. This dude hits home runs at the beginning of a game to set the pace. Like, that's an MVP.
When it matters. Like, that's the thing about baseball, right? I mean, the Mariners call up Cole Young, in back-to-back in AAA, and then his debut, almost the exact same slap hit to first.
Yeah.
Walk-off hits in back-to-back games. Like, that's got to be a hell of a feeling, and like being in those moments and to Cal Raleigh's extent, coming up clutch over and over and over again in the times that matter.
He's a platinum glove winner. He won the platinum glove last year.
I mean, he's got plenty of juice behind him, but beating, like, you can't just be like on the same level with Judge or if you're in the NL with Ohtani, you have to surpass them because they're so so good.
And we're talking two of the most generational talents of all time.
Yes, and then so it's like you have to like now a catch. Let's say he hits 65 home runs. A catcher hitting 65 home runs.
Ooh, I got the heebie-jeebies just thinking about it.
Yeah, we could start having that discussion.
But I mean, if Dump were to hit 65 and Judge hits 68, it goes to Judge.
Probably, but if you're talking about the workload of a catcher,
and he catches the entire staff,
and he's the best defensive catcher in baseball.
Correct.
Like you could talk about like the impact. When you start getting in the impact metrics, it's like I think last year when I was looking at MLB Savant, I think
like your WAR's got to be higher just for defensive efficiency and.
I think he was in the 98th percentile or 99th percentile in pitch framing. He was the number one fielder. And I think his throwout rate, he was in like the 86th percentile. So you're like, his pitch framing is God tier. His defensive ability is like nothing gets by him.
Yep.
And you don't steal on him.
No, you don't.
So you're like, okay, so he's the best catcher in baseball, and he's also hitting for obscene power that never comes out of that position.
I can't believe the third best player in all of baseball plays for the Seattle Mariners, and his name is not Julio Rodriguez.
It's weird.
Isn't that wild?
It's weird.
Watch the Mariners. They're kind of fun. They're actually coming around.
They're coming around just enough to break your heart even more.
Just enough to break your heart. That pitching staff's getting healthy, though, so we'll see.
It happens.
All right, we come back. Worst day on the web. Before we do that, Rusty with sports.
Now, from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
This update brought to you by Vulcan Design and Construction. Check out their award-winning outdoor living designs or schedule your free design consultation at vulcandc.com. First on the Fan, after the Pacers eliminated the Knicks in Game 6 on Saturday, the NBA Finals are now all set. Game 1 coming up Thursday at the Paycom Center in Oklahoma City. The Thunder are early 9-point favorites. ESPN Shams Charania reporting the Suns have narrowed their head coaching search down to 2 candidates. They're both Cleveland Cavaliers assistants, Johnny Bryant and Jordan Ott. On the diamond, the Mariners are off today after taking 2 of 3 from the Twins. The Orioles hit Seattle for a 3-game set starting tomorrow. Mariners lead over the Astros in the AL West, now down to just a half game. That's despite the fact the big dumper, I believe I heard, 6 home runs over his last 6 games. Stanley Cup final beginning on Wednesday at Rogers Place in Edmonton with the Oilers hosting the Panthers. Florida looking to hoist Lord Stanley's Cup for the second straight year, while Edmonton looking to become the first Canadian winner since 1993. And in the NFL, Lions center Frank Ragnow announced his retirement this morning. Ragnow was a first-round pick in 2018 and a 4-time Pro Bowl selection. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk. Hurt and missing work, insurance companies acting like jerks. Don't call your mom. Call George McCoy at warrenallen.com.
Do it every morning. Dirt and Spray. Weekdays 6 to 9 a.m. on Portland's Sports Leader. 1080 The Fan. It's time for today's worst day on the web. With Danny and Dusty on Odyssey and 1080 The Fan.
All right, we do this. Sucks. Oh, look at me ahead of the game.
There you
go. We do this bad boy every single day at 1:30. Stealing all of Dusty's or Danny's shine over here.
Yeah, that's all good.
Every single day at 1:30. This is the worst day on the web. We'll kick it over to Danny. What you got for me today?
You know, the other day
It's my birthday. Better be good.
It is your birthday. Maybe Dusty had to make a trip out to the Fine Mountain over in Bend for I believe it was a 40th birthday, and they had their fun the night before, and then in the morning.
Is this the race they had to go on?
I did a 5K.
Dude, you're the worst friend in the world. I can't.
And
believe,
people flew in for this.
I can't believe. I remember you guys talking about it, and I was listening to Dusty. I was like, dude, you are being way too nice. That friend is dead to me.
Meanwhile,
there is no way I'm into that.
And his wife went out there and dusted him.
I'm sure.
Shout out, Lindsay.
But that's probably why he did it, because he was like, my wife is cooler than yours.
But not only that, he had to make sure she didn't dust him too bad. Like, Lindsay, she's a runner.
I would have been like, go get it, babe.
Yeah.
I'll be at the bar.
But, in leading up to that, I saw this guy on TikTok who did 24 beers, 24 burgers, and in 24 miles. So he did this. And this is a big
We're talking
dude.
like McDonald's, Burgerville, little cheeseburgers?
The little McDonald's cheeseburger.
Okay.
But still,
it's a lot.
So the guy had no problem crushing the beers, well ahead of the pace of a beer an hour. He was behind on the burgers. Ended up crushing all the beers, and I think he actually did a few extras.
I'm thirsty.
Yeah, but I mean, like this guy's probably like 6'4", 6'5",
Dang.
bigger dude, big old beard, like not like a mountain man, like like one of these, a guy I grew up with, Eric Bergelin, who's 6'8", like 280 pounds of just pure unadulterated beef. Like this guy's out here like a professional bow hunter. I mean, just a massive human. Where you're just like, oh yeah, I can see him being able to do this. This is just like a big dude.
It's like this reminds me of the 9 for 9 for 9. You know the 9 for 9 for 9? It's 24, 24, and 24. How long do they expect you? How long does it take to do this?
You
just got to do it?
It was in a day.
In a day.
So, and like, again, 24 miles, and this isn't like a 24-mile walk. This is up in the mountains. This is a hike.
It's a hike.
So he's crushing, and here's the other thing. He's carrying a case on his back.
Oh, dude, I feel bad for the holes he's going to have to dig in a little bit.
Oh, dude. So he crushed all the beers. I think he got to 18 or 20 burgers, and he completed the hike and like got back to the cabin, was done with the 24 miles. We're like, dude, this guy's a unit, right?
Yeah.
I have seen the Mount Everest of this. There's a larger, more difficult version.
Oh, baby. I thought 9 for 9 for 9 was a lot. You just dropped 24, 24, 24. I ain't never going to do that.
This is, roughly the same distance. This is the Taco Bell 50K.
Oh, baby. See, speaking of holes that you got to dig, like that worries me. Like a lot of Taco Bell ain't good for the body. It tastes good going down, but it ain't fun coming back.
Okay, so there are 7 Taco Bell locations along this 50K. This is in Minneapolis. So the good news you have for you,
Minnesota.
The good news you have for you is Minnesota, very
flat.
So you're not worried about elevation going up and down. Like the guy that was hiking, this guy was like it looked like Utah mountains.
Ooh,
like
Zion National Park.
Like this was
smashing burgers and beers.
This looked like it was a tough trek, right? So you're flat, but you must consume one menu item at each of the 7 locations. And you can't just go drink or cinnamon twists. Like you got to get real menu items.
Like a Crunchwrap Supreme
so
and
you
a 5-layer.
You have to have at least one burrito and one Crunchwrap.
Each time?
No.
Oh, at the end.
Throughout the process. And it makes me wonder, do you want to front load this with the burrito and the Crunchwrap at the beginning, the middle, or the end?
How long does a 50K take to run?
I mean, 50K, what is that? I mean, I should have done this beforehand. 50K in miles. So it's 31 miles.
31 miles. Okay, 31 miles. Let's see. I run a 6-minute mile. That'll take X amount of dollars. Yeah, I don't know what you do. I would think, because 31 miles is a lot. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so
it's more than a marathon.
I don't think you want the heavy Taco Bell in your system the whole time, because I think by the time you get to like mile 25, you might need to stop somewhere.
So
You know what I mean? So I might backload it all.
Here's what's allowed on the trip.
Like run across the finish line with that last little bit of fire sauce on your Crunch Wrap.
Yeah.
And just be like,
Smash it down. You can consume Pepto-Bismol. You can vomit, and bathroom breaks are allowed.
You can vomit?
I'm telling you right now.
That's bull. That's absolute bullshit.
I'm getting it down. Look, I wrestled puke and rally, buddy. Like the number of times, making weight when you're close, you empty everything out. Both ends. You do what you got to do.
No, not in competitions. That I understand. Like that's the day before, but during the competition.
No, I'm talking about weigh-in, like day of.
No, I understand that. I understand that. But during the competition, if it is a food challenge during your competition,
you should not be allowed.
You cannot be allowed to throw up. That's bullshit.
I'm 100% with you, but I'm telling you, if I did this,
you would just kick into the old school.
The last bite, as soon as I felt it going down.
It'd come right back.
I would be finger down the throat as I'm going, and it would be out, and then I would be on whatever, liquid IV, Pepto, and keep it moving.
Because see, me and my crew, we love to play this stupid drinking game. We call it the Great American Challenge. And you basically break up into two teams into a bunch of teams of 4 people. Okay, so you got like 6, 5, 4, whatever, of 4 people, sometimes more. Anyway, and the goal is first team to finish a 30 rack. 2 grams of the marijuana, a pizza, and a puzzle. First team to finish that wins.
I'm assuming you start the puzzle first.
It is a notoriously cheating game. Like everybody cheats, but you can't get caught. People have been caught, and you get burned at the stake. It's kind of like baseball, If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. But just don't get caught.
Don't get caught
because you'll get burned if you get caught.
Unless you're the Astros.
And then those things end in like 20 minutes because people are just slamming beers. But we always say, if you throw up, you're out.
You're out.
Your team's not out, but you are now disqualified.
Yeah, now that you got to pick up the slack.
So if you got somebody on the team like they're the big smoker, make sure they smoke and don't let them eat too much food or drink too much beer. You got the beer drinker, you make sure that guy doesn't throw up because if that guy throws up, you're in big trouble.
Now everybody else got to pick up the slack.
Now everybody's got to pick up the slack, and drinking's the hardest.
Do you reset it?
No.
Okay.
No.
So
it's like if you've had 5 beers, I don't know. That just stays.
Okay, so whatever you accomplish, but that person can't get any
now
more.
You're done. You can't eat anymore. You can't do anything. Now you got to step aside.
Yeah, that'd be tough.
Otherwise it's like the 9 for 9 for 9 hot dogs and beers at a baseball game. Like I can chug 9 beers and eat 9 hot dogs and go throw up in a minute.
Yeah, no,
that's not the part.
No,
the whole point is to keep it down.
You have to suffer.
You have to suffer.
The suffering
you have to live through it.
Part of this.
Yes,
and that's where the 50K
you can't
here.
Throw up, man.
Allowing the vomiting feels like it's cheating us.
Says the guy's running 31 miles. They're like, you run 31 miles, fat A.
Well, I mean, did you see the guy in the track competition this weekend? Lost a shoe and kept going.
You have to. You have to.
Because it was qualifying for Eugene.
You can't stop.
His toes, I don't think it was a sprint, but I don't think it was a super long race. I think it might have been an 800. His toes were just
raw,
gnawed down, just bloody. But he qualified, and I was like, "Yo, that is crazy."
Qualified, but at what expense?
Can your feet heal in time to be ready for that next event? Kind of a deal,
right?
But this would look. 31 miles. Look, I've never.
I ain't walking 31 miles, let alone running, jogging 31 miles.
They had a race over on the west side, and they had I went to Topgolf this weekend with the in-laws, and they had like the whole Evergreen Parkway was shut down.
Was it for the old Helvetia half marathon?
Is that what it was?
I believe so.
I would look. I couldn't tell because the runner swath was so wide. There was like the uber fit runners, the dudes with their shirts off. You're like, oh yeah, there's not an ounce of fat on you, and the women that are just like weigh $110, and you're just like, oh yeah. And then there was people like walking in what looked like sweats on their cell phone, and I'm like, I'm not sure what's going on here. Like, there's clearly like
something's up.
There's a wide range of people here.
One of these things is not like the other.
Yeah, and I'm just like, I'm not sure what's going on here. I was just more frustrated because I had to weave my way to Topgolf, and I'm like, this is taking a lot longer than I thought it was going to. But yeah, no, when you throw the food into the wrench here, that's interesting. Like again, this is I have said that when I continue to lose the weight and I get the clearance from the doctors that I can fully start like running again. I have one physical goal well, that's true. There's two. I have one weightlifting and one like I'm gonna break my body goal. I want to finish a Ironman.
Oh, nice.
I don't need to place or
My
anything.
my best friend's done it twice.
I just want to do it once.
Yeah.
Just once. And I know the hell, like I've got a bunch of buddies that have done it. I know what it does to your body, the weeks you need to recover, and how much preparation, all that kind of stuff that goes into it. But that and the 1,000-pound club, I'm trying for the 1,200 pound, but I'm going to get at least 1,000
What's the 1,000-pound club?
Deadlift, bench, and squat, combined. So
I don't even know how to deadlift, squat, or bench.
So
I mean, that's a lie. I do know how to do those, but
my squat's fine. My squat's over 400 pounds right now. The interesting part is I need to get my bench back up because I just didn't.
Yeah.
I'm not a 18, 20-year-old kid. I don't really bench that much anymore. And I'm like, I need to get my bench to 315. That's where I need to get this to if I hope to get to the 1,200-pound club. And I'm like, I got up to 255 and I was able to do that. And I was like, ooh, buddy, we're going to add 60 pounds to this? Like,
Spicy.
I'm like, am I going to tear a pec? Like, I was just going to, like, as bad as my lower body is, for whatever reason, the strength has come back over the
that's
years,
good.
which like, I'm actually okay. Like deadlift and squat, like I'm going to be good there. The test is going to be, am I going to tear a pec going over 300 pounds again? And I'm just like, this might take me a year to get back up to that level. And I'm like, what do you do from the recovery? Like, let's say you're not allowed to throw up.
Right.
You have to, like, because putting Taco Bell in your body, putting McDonald's in your body during like these ultra endurance type things.
Yeah, it's the time. The time is what's against you. Like,
yeah.
like my best friend is the most in shape guy I know. Extremely fit, super athletic, does all this garbage all the time. He can eat McDonald's and it's no problem. But if he's eating McDonald's and still being endurance athlete for 12 hours, that ain't gonna go well for him.
No, like
it ain't gonna go. It
putting
might
that in
go well for you and me
because we're used to that.
We're used to that garbage in our bodies. We can stretch that out.
My
we
body,
know what the big dumper's all about,
right? Like, here's the terrible thing: now that you're 40, you're gonna notice that fast food just hits a little bit different. And like, where in the past I could just eat it and be like, it's no big deal. Now I'm like.
Full disclosure, my pooping's in a great spot. I try not to mess with it too much.
Right?
Yeah.
You got to keep the toxins in there to make sure everything stays regular.
Just delaying that guy putting his finger up there, you know. You just don't want things to go bad. All right, that is the worst day on the web. I ain't doing that. Kudos to anybody who does that. I'm going to stick with my 9 for 9 for 9 challenge. When we come back, we'll cross the pond for one of my favorite sports. We'll do that next. Danny and Dusty, 1080 The Fan.
Vaughn into the windup in his first offering. Just a bit outside. He tried the corner and missed.
I just got a notification that boarding for my flight tonight to Vegas has been delayed.
Oh, no.
By 40 minutes. And I was like, oh, no, but I want to get to Vegas. Oh, right. It doesn't matter when I get there.
Yeah.
The party keeps going.
Yeah.
But I get to spend some time in the airport.
There you go.
I haven't been to the new one yet, so
it is. Look,
I'm really excited.
I hate the whole talk about, oh, it's the best airport. It's a very nice airport now.
Airports are still airports. Airports still suck.
Yeah, and I'm like, people talk about like it's the best airport. I'm like, my experience there has never been great.
I mean, I think
I've been to certainly worse airports.
Oh, without a doubt.
Minneapolis Airport and the Denver Airport are both gateways to hell.
Atlanta's up there too.
Oh yeah.
I think the thing is also that it's. How am I trying to say
I've
this?
never transferred planes in Minneapolis and not had to go out on the tarmac. And I'm just like, it's always been in the winter. It's like 18 degrees or 4 below zero. And I'm just like, why am I out here?
I will differ from you. I think the Portland airport experience is lovely.
It's
airport experience.
Yeah.
It's like saying my dog's poop is better than your dog's poop.
Yes, it's not.
It's like it's still poop in the end. Like nobody really likes being at an airport. But I will take PDX over a lot of airports.
Look, if I'm gonna have a delay somewhere, I want to have a delay. Like people hate DFW. I love
DFW.
I love being delayed at DFW because you have a million choices.
Yeah.
There's a million restaurants, a million bars. Like, if I'm going to be delayed somewhere, like my wife and I are doing a big Mediterranean thing. I'll be gone for 2 weeks at the end of August into September.
Sweet.
And we're flying to.
Call me if you need a sub.
There you go. We're flying into Barcelona the day before, and we're
you mispronounced
Barcelona. Barcelona. But like we have one layover in Heathrow. And I'm like, dope. Heathrow's one of the best airports. Like, I've flown into Heathrow.
Is it the largest airport in the world?
It might be.
I think it is.
It's massive.
I think it is.
It's gone through so many facelifts, but like, just give me a massive, like, number one, I don't like layovers more than 3 hours. And when you fly internationally,
I would rather. I'm the way opposite of you on airports. I would rather have. I mean, I don't want a 5-hour layover.
No,
nobody does.
3 hours less.
But I need to know that I can get somewhere and get another beverage in me and some food in me because I'm a drinker flyer. I don't know if it's anxiety or what, but I'm a drinker flyer.
Well, I mean,
I got a drink.
I am, but my drink of choice is NyQuil.
And my drink of choice is tequila.
I have. Oh, look, I'm right there with you. Tequila's my brand, my jam. But when I fly, do not do this. I am a little mini sleepy NyQuil, and then because I'm stuck in a plane, I can fly first class. It does not matter. My body is just going to hurt because sitting in any position kills me for any period of time. So it's again, do not do this. Medical advice. It is a NyQuil and painkiller cocktail that will make me comfortably get through about 10 hours. And then I will have to re-up.
Well, yeah, I mean, a lot of people do that. I mean, a lot of people get their hands on some Prozac and things
Sleeping
like that.
Pills, stuff like that.
Sleeping pills just to go down because they just don't want to do it. I have developed, as I've gotten older, an insane fear of heights. So the takeoff, I never had it.
Mine was the other way around. I was terrified of heights until when I was a kid. Then jumping out of the back of a perfectly good aircraft, just like I was like,
oh, okay, this ain't so bad.
It's kind of dope. Like,
yeah, I've come the other way. I've developed this extreme fear of heights. I hate taking off in planes. I don't mind being in the air.
Do you clap when you land?
No. I'm not a. I might have fears, but I don't like put them on display. What do you clap at movie theaters too?
No, God, no. Those people those people bother me.
But yeah, so I've developed it. So I have to because the takeoff is always just gives me so much jitters. I can't handle it. So I go the booze route.
I'm usually unconscious by that point in time.
That's so
I also
awesome.
have probably 3,500 to 4,000 hours.
Yeah.
In an aircraft.
Yeah, that's true.
So like it is. I think I've mentioned this before. Military travel, like when we're going on deployments, like you're not flying. Don't get me wrong. Some do fly over like to the European bloc via commercial. But for the most part, like me, I was always in the back of a C-130 or C-5, C-17. And we have these crates with our gear in them. And it's all A-bags, those big green duffel bags.
Oh, yeah.
So it's all, for the most part, it's all closed. And I knew all the load masters, the guys that balance out the weight on the aircraft. And I'd be like, hey, can you pry one of those open? And I started doing this thing because I'm, under 6 foot tall. with my boots off, that I would take my boots off because these crates are 6 foot long.
Sure.
And I would, like a vampire.
Oh, you just crawl in.
I would lay
That's
on
how you
top
take
of
a
it with
nap.
my arms crossed because otherwise it's cargo netting.
Yeah,
And it's not comfortable.
No,
it's
not at all.
pure unadulterated hell. And so I would
But that lets you stretch out.
and I would lay on top of the bags like Count Dracula with my arms crossed. And that's how I would sleep.
2, 3.
But we had God, I can never remember the name of the sleeping pill. It was developed for the military because we have to get mandatory crew rest.
Okay.
It's highly addictive. It led to like suicidal ideation with nasty stuff.
Ugh.
But it will guarantee you basically 8 hours of sleep. So you pop one of those, wash it down with whatever as you're getting on the plane, and I would just be a zombie.
Just get there as soon as possible.
And I'd wake up wherever I was. And it was that's how I was like, oh, this is how I'm, unless I was, working.
Yeah.
That's just how I would do it.
Well, fortunately, I only have about a 2.5 hour flight tonight.
It's a quick flight. But
Will
the
I get a
Vegas
second
flights-
drink in me?
The Vegas flights are always serving booze, even on the short trips.
Yeah, how many drinks can Patrick get into? Well, we'll push some football back later in the show, maybe we'll do it another time. We come back, let's finally dive into this. The NBA Finals are set. Game 1's on Thursday. What should I throw a sawbuck down on? Are we crowning the champions already? Loaded third hour. Don't go anywhere. Danny and Dusty, 1080 The Fan.
Now, from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
Jeff Rust with your Sports Center update. First on The Fan. After the Pacers eliminated the Knicks in Game 6 on Saturday, the NBA Finals are now all set. Game 1 coming up Thursday evening at the Paycom Center in Oklahoma City. The Thunder are early 9-point favorites. ESPN Shams Charania reporting the Suns have narrowed their head coaching search down to 2 candidates, Cavaliers assistants Johnny Bryant and Jordan Ott. On the diamond, the Mariners off today after taking 2 of 3 from the Twins. The Orioles hit Seattle for a 3-game set starting tomorrow. The Mariners lead over the Astros in the AL West, now down to just a half game. But Cal Raleigh named American League Co-Player of the Week. The Big Dumper hit .348 with 6 bombs and 10 RBI with a 1.575 OPS last week. On the ice, the Stanley Cup Final begins Wednesday at Rogers Place in Edmonton with the Oilers hosting the Panthers. Florida looking to lift Lord Stanley's Cup for the second straight year, while Edmonton looking to become the first Canadian winner since 1993. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk. Hurt and missing work, insurance companies acting like jerks. Don't call your mom. Call George McCoy at warrenallen.com.
It's back. The 11th annual Fan Golf Classic at Langdon Farms Golf Club happens Tuesday, June 24th. Presented by your local Toyota dealers. Reserve your foursome now at 1080thefan.com. Danny and Dusty.
My Uncle Gus is the uncle that likes to work the grill. As soon as he walk in the house, it's like, get away from that grill. You don't know how to start no fire.
With the latest on the Blazers, Ducks, Beavers, and the hottest topics in sports.
We're going to eat a hamburger, okay? Here we go. Charlie, throw the mat. Now that's a fire.
Danny and Dusty on the Odyssey app and 1080.
I'm not cooking them brontosaurus burger.
The Fan.
All right, hour number 3. We'll hang around for another 60 more minutes with y'all. My name is Patrick. That's Danny. Got Jeff over there helping us out, too. We're doing the thing. We're doing the thing. Shout out to Dusty Mandalay Bay for letting me sit in his chair today. Although I'm pretty sure he's glad to not have to work today.
Well, he's working.
So he can go to his fake job.
Yeah, he's working.
Isn't that why you get in management? That's why I always got in management in restaurants.
You just
I just get in management so I don't have to do anything.
You close the door and you just look at your computer screen. You look like you're busy.
Hey, I really need this bathroom cleaned. Hey, Danny, can you go clean that bathroom for me? He's like, oh, yeah, boss, you got it.
Delegation, baby.
That's all about it. It's all about it. We do have some stuff to get to in our final hour. Again, if you missed any of the previous hours, you can download that, the Fan Podcast, at 1080thefan.com, the Odyssey app, wherever you get your podcasts. We'll talk a little expansion. Which expansion are you looking forward to more? Football, basketball? We'll get to that. Plus, we'll maybe talk a little Ducks. Poor showing in the world of hitting balls with bats, the men and the women. Ouchie. But without further ado, Dan, you know what the best part is about, at least from my perspective, hanging out with you today, is honestly, I was rooting for the Knicks to win Game 5, so the series would last 6 games. So I got to be one of the first people to have my opinion on what the NBA Finals is going to be. You ever get that way? You're like, this game, it better not close out. There better not be breaking news at 3:15, because if Isaac and Suk are going to take all the credit away from me, I'm going to lose my GD mind.
It is always interesting on stuff of like when I know certain things are coming, I'm like, it's not during my show, but this one is like, I'm sitting here, I've got the tweet ready, and I'm just like, and send, like it's,
Danny, are you paying attention? Danny,
Yeah.
you're like, sorry, I'm in another world.
Yeah, I'm like,
Ron, are you paying attention?
Yeah,
Nope.
There's like, there's things that are happening behind the scenes, and you're like, okay, this, and this, and like, I'm never bothered by something happening, but it is funny. We've had stuff like break the second we get off air.
Oh, the boys in the morning talk about it all the time. The old 9:15 news dump.
Well, I mean, the Blazers sale happened I want to say it happened at 9.
Yep.
The announcement went out. I think it was like 9:02 that the announcement went out. And they're like, great.
Thanks a lot.
The biggest news that's been in this city for, probably 25 years.
Thanks
it's like,
a lot. And here's Colin Cowherd.
Yeah, it's like, oh, yeah. Not only were the one time slot that we're not local for, it's like, you look around the market, nobody is.
Swag drops that bomb at 9 o'clock and nobody gets to talk about it till noon because it's national in between.
It's like,
that's hilarious.
Wow.
Well, we do have the NBA Finals coming up. Game 1 on Thursday from Oklahoma City.
I hate it. We have to wait 3 days.
I know. I was really loving that every other day was a game.
God.
Only one day off?
Then,
even travel days? I loved it.
And then you get to the finals and it just feels like forever.
I know,
It's like,
I know.
Oh, why are there so many days in between games?
I wrote this down. I think, let's just dive right into this. I think what's going to be most fascinating for me in this series is going to be, again, lack of better words, pace of play. Because as we talked about in the first hour, what makes Indiana so fascinating and so fun to watch is, as I described it, it's a flow. It's just kind of a vibe. They just kind of play basketball and they see how the other team is playing basketball and kind of move and shift and kind of flow into that like a river downstream, like a lazy river at Mandalay Bay, one could say. To where when I watch Oklahoma City, I feel like they control it. Like they're very much aggressive. They tell you how
on both sides of the floor.
They tell you how we're going to play, and you are going to have to adapt to it. And you saw that's why Ant had such a tough time with it. That's why, I thought Rudy Gobert took an unfair punishment of the critics because he's not a scorer, so why did you expect him to score? But that's why Julius Randle had really tough games because Oklahoma City said, you're not going to do it.
Yeah.
You're not.
We
are in control.
We're going to make somebody else do it. And that's the thing is that the Pacers take kind of the same approach of like, we're going to play this certain way. And the Thunder, what's interesting in the NBA playoffs historically, you get bigger. You play bigger because you play slower.
Yeah.
Neither of these teams get bigger. They get smaller and they get faster. And that's where this gets really interesting. The Thunder are minus 800. They are the third biggest favorite in the modern era.
Really?
The Pacers are plus 550.
I wonder who does it say who the other ones are? Because I would take a guess.
So the biggest is in the modern era is very easy.
Lakers over Pacers?
Lakers over Sixers.
Oh, Lakers over Sixers. Hey, I was only a year off. Kudos to me.
They were minus 2,000.
Jeez.
Which is why
I mean, that Sixers team was fun, but the Pacer team was better.
Well, I mean,
and the Knicks team was better.
The Pacers and the 76ers, those years that they went to the finals. That's why the matchups between the Lakers and the Kings and the Lakers and the Blazers were so
big because it was all the marbles.
Those two teams that met in those playoff series, those were going to be your eventual champ. Whoever came out of that series was going to win a title.
Blazers beat the Lakers, and they unfortunately roll my Reggie Miller Pacers.
I mean, those are the two best teams in the NBA that year.
Yeah.
The three best teams in the NBA in that 2-year stretch were the Lakers, the Blazers, and the Kings.
What's the other one?
The other big one was the Warriors I had it here just a second ago. 2018, the Warriors were minus 1075 against the Cavs. And that was the 2018 Warriors team, not the one that blew the lead.
Yeah, that's the one that won.
Yes. The biggest upset is that same Lakers team 3 years later against the Pistons. No. That the 76ers
Pistons beating the Lakers in 2004?
Yes. And they were the Lakers were minus 700 going into that series. So right around the same level as the Thunder are right now.
Vegas have chosen the Thunder to win, basically.
Yes.
They are telling you the Thunder are going to win. Do we disagree? I don't.
But it's not a hesitance to give the Thunder their due respect or their flowers or anything like that. They are
the best team.
They are, and they are the exception to the rule. They are the second youngest team. If they won a title, they would win the second youngest team. The Blazers in 77 were the youngest team. Now,
I know you talk about the adjusted playing time rate.
Like
I've heard you go on about
they're
that.
They're a little bit older,
which makes more sense.
They are very young. Like
very young.
Their three best players
are. Chet Holmgren buy alcohol?
Yes, he can. So, but you're talking about 26, 23, and 22.
Yeah.
Their three best players are very young. Now, Alex Caruso's 31.
You gotta have some old daddies up there.
And again, he's the only old guy. Hartenstein's a little bit. I think he's 28, 29. Dort's 27, 28. I gotta double check on it. But they are incredibly young. But the Pacers aren't old. Like Pascal Siakam is the only guy on this team, and Miles Turner who are older.
Yeah.
Like Naismith is younger. Hallie is younger. Like you just look up and down this team. Obi Toppin is not a 10-year vet. Like you know what I mean. But they're a young team too, and their continuity is what's really interesting. And like I said earlier, I'm gonna probably pick the Thunder to win this series.
Right.
But if you told me the Pacers won, yes, it would be a surprise. But we're both soccer fans. This is not Leicester City.
No,
this is not a minus 5 or plus 5,000.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah.
I'm going to take the Thunder in this. I want the Pacers to push it to 7 games, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And if the Pacers win, I'm going to be surprised, but not really. I'll be like, this team is good.
Yeah.
I'm surprised they beat the Thunder. I'd be more surprised that the Thunder didn't get it done than the Pacers winning. Is what I'd be more surprised
in the
by.
second half of the season.
Because they're fun, they're fluid, they move the basketball, they pass, they shoot, they're extremely well coached. That's probably where they have the advantage in this series. Rick Carlisle is an OG, triple OG.
Mm-hmm.
I love him.
And we talked about this when Nemec was in here last week. If Carlisle and the Pacers win this, where that puts Carlisle in the pantheon,
that's kind of the. I mean, it's
he
all
would be
you're going to have.
Fourth coach.
You're going to have Red. You're going to have Phil. You're going to have Pop.
Riley Spo.
But and then is
Carlisle will be the fourth coach in NBA history to win a title with 2 separate teams.
I would take
That's it.
I would take Carlisle over Spo.
I don't know if I'd go that far, but he also did.
I mean, I like Spo a lot.
But he did get the best of Spo.
He did.
But all of a sudden, you're talking about Rick Carlisle very differently.
Very differently.
2 very different franchises that are built entirely differently.
Oh, extremely.
2
I didn't
titles
even think about that.
Over overwhelming odds. He beat the Heatles and then he beat the Thunder. Like it would be like, who's got something better? He's not taking the best team in the league and winning. He's taking maybe the best well-built team within these constraints in winning.
I'm just thinking about that Mavericks team, and it's like OG style point guard and Jason Kidd.
Yep.
You know, and then just
an older Jason Kidd,
older
Tyson Chandler, older Dirk Nowitzki,
and you're building it around an aging shooter in Dirk with some nice pieces around it against the most insane 3-headed monster. Look, LeBron James in Miami is the greatest basketball player to ever play. Like, just from a physical specimen. His years in Miami.
6'9", 300 pounds.
Ungodly.
And just a freight train.
And he took aging vets in the perfect situation and beat them. And this would also be interesting because it would be the up and coming.
What's a bigger upset? The Mavericks knocking off the Heatles or the Pacers knocking off the Thunder?
I think it's Pacers knocking off the Thunder, and I think it's because
it's Indiana.
It's because Dirk and Jason Kidd are 2 all-time greats.
I mean, Dirk's a top 15 player of all time. Yep. Jason Kidd's at least a top 25.
He's a top 5 point guard of all time, in my opinion. You know, I mean, for me, it's like Stockton, Magic, and him is where I live.
Well,
you know,
Steph.
Yeah, I forget. We got to throw Steph.
And then probably Chris Paul and Kidd.
That's your list right there.
That's probably your list.
That's
and you're
your
like,
list.
Don't get me wrong, they weren't the best versions of themselves, but also you got Dirk having one of the best and most legendary playoff runs of all time, which Halliburton, while statistically is not putting up those crazy numbers, his efficiency and what he means to that team.
Well, that's true.
Is nuts.
The efficiency is insane.
Nuts.
Oh, he had a bad first half. He had 4 turnovers. Oh, yeah. When was the last time he had a turnover? Game 3 of last series.
He was like, oh, that's right. He still almost has a 5-to-1 assist to turnover ratio.
I think this would be the bigger upset. I do.
I don't think you're wrong.
I do. I think because of that.
And if Carlisle was able to do it, boy, that's a hell of a stamp.
Gosh, and it's also interesting, man. I didn't even think about this. Just the style of the game, period.
2 different eras.
Between then and now is completely
14 years.
different.
And that's the thing, is 14 years apart.
Also, we are now seeing the new NBA.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we didn't realize, you might, because you're such ahead. I didn't realize that we were seeing a new league until now, to where it probably started 2-3 years ago.
And I think it was struggling with its footing, and we got probably a little too overboard in this space and pace, 3-point
Probably
offense.
the last Warriors title is probably where it starts.
Yeah, but I think we've much like I like to make this comparison with the NFL, where it got a little too offensive heavy, and they gave the defense a little bit of love, and all of a sudden you're starting to see the running. Like, in order to optimize, like baseball's done. Like, Manfred drives me nuts
Continuously.
But
what do I always say? If you listen to Hot Corner on Tuesdays from 7 to 9, nobody hates baseball more than baseball.
But the pitch clock
worked,
and increasing the base size
worked,
and getting rid of the shift, all of a sudden, the other parts of the game matter more again, and it makes the game more interesting. And
I was anti all 3, and I'd eat that crow. Still do to this day. I was wrong.
It's made
completely
the game
wrong.
Infinitely better.
Infinitely better.
And in the NFL, that we want more points. We want more points. No, we didn't enjoy it as much. It was it's this.
You want close physical games.
You want running to be a part of the game. You want defense to be part of the game. The NBA legislating and allowing more physicality to keep the fans like us who we want to see the defense have a chance. And I think Game 6 Pacers Knicks was one of the most physical games I've seen in a long time. In the third quarter, there was a couple possessions where Halliburton, Neesmith, and Nembhard just had their hands all over Josh Hart, Mikal Bridges, Jalen Brunson. They were just flustered as hell. Didn't lead to a turnover or anything, but you could tell it was just taking them out of their
Josh Hart
game.
had a rough series just in general.
He had a rough,
and I love him to death.
I love Josh, but game 5 and 6 were just tough for him. But like you could see it. It was like, oh, they're just not going to call this. And the Pacers were the team that realized in the second half they're not going to call.
And I think we need to just accept it. I think it's a big knock on officials and how the league is commissioned and run, that they don't call these in the regular season. Why should they call them in the playoffs? Basketball might be the one sport that it works. You don't want to play that hard in the regular season. There's too many games, guys get hurt. You don't want them burning that much energy every night in, night out. But the playoffs, I kind of like it getting a little spicy, especially when you're trying to build rivalries like Indiana, New York. That's how you do it.
You build rivalries through the physicality.
Why do I hate the Knicks? Because I hate Charles Oakley and I hate John Starks and I hate Patrick Ewing and I hate Pat Riley. You know, like that's it. Like I hate all those dudes because they're dirty, they're trash talkers, and that's that.
And it comes
I
out
like
of
the Davis
physicality.
boys. I like Dale Davis and Antonio Davis going toe to toe with those dudes. Reggie looking at Spike Lee in the front. If you want to build those rivalries, you got to do it.
And if
you
you're
think
not
the finals will be called the same way?
I hope they are, because look, SGA is incredible. Jalen Brunson is incredible. And drawing fouls is a real skill. You will never hear me deny that. But both those guys,
It's annoying.
James
Harden is hated the most for it.
Yes, but those two guys, they are foul merchants. And people, Oklahoma City fans are like, well, he gets. I'm like, stop. He is. It's okay.
It's okay to be that. It's the game.
But what I hate is when a possession is very clearly designed, where a guy gets in their head, I'm going to get to the line.
Yeah.
Where it's like, you're not trying to create offense, you're trying to create a foul, and you're looking to sell something. I hate that.
Well, I don't think they do that. I don't think SGA does that.
You're insane.
I don't. I think he knows he can. But I think his goal is to score all natural.
I don't. Not all the time.
Really?
Not all the time.
That's a bad mind frame to have then.
I think you're like, hey, look,
that ain't I don't need to say superstar material, but that's not how you win championships.
We need to slow this down. I need to get this guy in foul trouble. I need to do a little something here. And you can
I can understand a little bit of those tactics, but
and again, it's a part of the game.
That's a prevent defense kind of mindset.
And
you know what I mean?
That's the thing. It's the egregious flops. I don't look, if you're so good in SGA, in Brunson in particular, those two guys have the best footwork in the NBA among guards. It's incredible. And they will put you in a pretzel naturally.
Yeah.
Like you're going to get to the line naturally because of how you move and how you play. It's when they do the whole, I got shot in the back by a 50 cal and hit the ground. And you see the replay.
I already watch European football. I don't need more of this.
Yeah. And it's like, no, dude. And we both watch soccer. And like sometimes the dives that I see, I'm like,
at least you get cards for him now.
Yeah, and it's like, and you're supposed to institute the flopping fines and the technicals and stuff at the end of the day. They don't do that. I hope we get ethical hoops as much as we can.
Yeah.
Because I think this has the potential, even though OKC is an overwhelming favorite, to have this be a great series.
Well, it like we said, this might be ushering the next form of basketball. And somebody said it, I think Justin Teague said it the other day, like, pay attention, kids. This is how basketball is supposed to be played. And the NBA, you're welcome for SGA, teaching kids to play basketball like we grew up playing basketball. And I love that. All right, let's give hoops a break. When we come back, expansion in college football playoff is imminent. That's coming to 16. There's now talk of March Madness growing. Danny, is one of these two more enticing to you than the other? We'll do that next. This is Danny and Dusty on 1080 The Fan. 503-864-6326. That is the fan text line. I do think we are being corrected here. I do believe we missed it in talking about our great point guards. We do need to throw some love at a two-time MVP in Steve Nash. I don't believe we mentioned his name.
I mean, he's right there.
Yeah.
Like, he's right there. But, like, when you're talking about the pantheon of point guards,
I think I'd take J. Kidd over him.
Stylistically.
Depends on what you want done.
Yeah, it's like who do I like watching play more? Steve Nash.
Yeah.
Like, Steve Nash is one of my favorite players ever to watch.
Steph Curry is a better basketball player than Jason Kidd, but if I'm building, that's what everyone builds those all-time great teams. All right, who's your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? My one is always going to be Jason Kidd or John Stockton because I don't need a point guard to score. If this is the greatest team of all time assembled, all those other dudes can score.
Let me optimize this.
All those other dudes can score. So I want the brain. I want a Rajon Rondo. I want a Jason Kidd.
I mean, not only that, Kidd turned into a prolific three-point shooter later in his career. It's like
Vince Carter.
Yeah, it's like
oh, maybe I should have done this the whole time.
All right, this is maybe a little bit easier on my body, but yeah, no. If Nash is like the first one out, like that's where he is for me.
He was good. He was good. So we have expansion coming up in the college football playoff, going to 16 teams, and all the rage is who gets what and how many automatic bids. But also flipping over to the basketball side, that looks to be expanding as well. And it's very interesting to me. I actually have zero opinion about the college football playoff expanding from 12 to 16.
Mm-hmm.
It's just more money. It's just more games and more money. It's going to be the same teams.
I saw somebody.
You're just making it harder for the Boise States and the Washington States of the world. That's it.
I saw somebody complain about it the other day. I think it was John Wilner.
It's just more content.
It was like, well, now we're going to have a 45-day window of the college football playoffs. And I'm like, oh, no. We have more good college football over a longer period.
The second most popular sport in America behind its big brother.
Yeah.
Oh, no, don't give me more. Yeah, I'm not that worried about it. I think it's just more content. It's more ad revenue. It's more blah, 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 blah. And, yeah, it is more profile games, especially if they do them at home. I want to see, I want my Cougs to be good and get into a college football playoff and have to go to Happy Valley and play Penn State. I want to see that.
Or hell, heaven forbid you have like one of those storied years and you have a December game at Pullman.
And USC has to come to town. Like, sign me up, baby.
Miami, like some team that just spends all year. Like
Texas in a down year.
Yeah, we made fun of USC before they went. It was either the Oregon game or it was the Oregon game or the Washington game. And they're like, they're on the field with a hose, like spraying down, like to simulate a wet environment. It's like, yeah, dog, when it's 80 degrees the entire year, and all of a sudden you've got to go to Boise, or you've got to go to Pullman, or you've got to go to Beaver Stadium.
Dude, I've had a Halloween in Pullman that was -2 degrees.
What's it in December? A foot of snow, and
it's actually warmer in December because it snows.
Yeah, you're like, but I mean, like, imagine some warm weather team is like, what's the draw we're gonna get? Oh crap, Pullman, the second week of December. You're like, oh crap.
So I don't really have a big opinion. I think it's kind of whatever. It kind of is inevitable, especially when things are inevitable. You're just kind of like,
16's fine.
When it shows up, you're like, we knew it was coming. Why did we take so long? However, on the flip side, I'm super anti-expanding the basketball tournament. However, since it's inevitable and I can scream to the heavens all I want, the one thing that I will say is, assuming last year is an anomaly and it won't just be 1 seeds all the time, this, I think, will open the door for more Ja Morant's, CJ McCollums of the world. Dudes that play in small places that wouldn't normally get in, that do get in. And sure, they get bounced in what is now the first round, not the first 4, but now the first round, because there's like 2 more rounds before that.
The true round of 64.
The true round of 64. They might, but they could win 2 games. Then all of a sudden, like, who's this Danny Moran guy at Alcorn State? Yeah. And you're like, I don't know, he's pretty good. And he goes 9th overall and makes an all-star game and wins Rookie of the Year.
Like,
I think there's a lot of benefit from that. And I don't think there is that necessarily in college football. I think it's so dissected and so like scrutinized and microscopic looked at that there aren't a ton of like big surprises
Truly
when you get to
unknowns.
bowl games and stuff like that, to where I think basketball will. And look, it's going to be inevitable. So give me more out of sight players.
I do like it from that perspective, but because you've got guys, because of NIL, not jumping to the NBA as fast, the not the top tier teams, but the second tier teams, all of a sudden, like they can build this roster with continuity, or the guys that are at the Alcorn States transfer up. Like
you can build Jay Wright Villanovas is
Yeah,
what you can do.
and
You can build that. Billy Donovan Florida's.
And that's the thing is like, perfect example is like Yaxel Lendeberg was going to go in the NBA draft. He was probably going to go anywhere between 15 and 20. But he opted to go back to school. He transfers from UAB to Michigan. Now he's front and center at a Michigan program with Dusty May, and he's probably going to improve his draft position. He could go like solid lottery, even though he's an older guy next year, because he has this profile and goes and shows he can do it in another place. And like Tamani Kamara is a perfect example. Tamani Kamara goes from Georgia. He was Ant Edwards' teammate at Georgia with Tom Crean. Plays 2 years there, and then
Tom Crean
goes to Dayton. And he's, was a 52nd pick in the draft, but he's got this experience. He's developed. He turns into an all defensive player. And you just see these guys that are staying a little bit longer, and it's making the overall product better, but it also might make the teams at the top better.
I know. That's the scary part.
That's the trade-off.
That's the scary part, the trade-off. But I'm with you. Like, NIL was an inevitable thing.
Mm-hmm.
Even when they were fighting it and it didn't look good, it's an inevitable thing. So you're just going to have to deal with it.
And it's better for the overall health of the sport.
I am surprised at how much it's already paying off in college basketball.
College basketball is
Football will drive me nuts
Yes.
because it's just, I'm a 5-star kid and I sat my freshman year and I'm mad. And you're like, dude, that's just how it works.
Yeah. We're in basketball because the
Arch
rosters are
Manning,
smaller.
his last name is Manning and he sits. It's
Yeah.
how it works.
Yeah.
But in basketball, we are getting more built teams. And you know what? Even if it does float to the top, that it is 1 seeds all the time, can you deny that those weren't great games?
Oh, I mean, that was the thing is that
it's
Elite
still-
Eight into the Final Four was like, oh, this is good basketball.
You lose the Cinderella. You lose the the shock and awe, the George Masons, the
VCUs,
Florida Gulf Coast, Dunk University or whatever. You lose that.
But all
fun
those coaches
stuff.
go on to bigger programs like Dusty May at
Yeah.
Michigan now and Shaka Smart. Like you see it like the trickle up effect,
You lose that excitement. However, you gain better basketball.
which is what you want. Like you want the
Look, the NBA Finals is college basketball on steroids.
Yes.
It really is.
And
It's
here's the thing.
coaching, it's passing, it's free throws, defense.
I can't watch bad college basketball. Like it is.
I will.
So
I'm a glutton for it.
So here,
sign me up.
Like the only thing that would ever get me to leave this career field is working for an NBA franchise.
Yeah, sure.
And I've had discussions with scouts in front offices like, there's different scouts that do different things. There are scouts that mine the minor circuits in high school and stuff like that, like getting eyes on guys early, and scouts that like focus on 7th, 8th, 9th grade guys. I can't do that. I
know.
am a high school
I talk with Nemec about
senior.
it. I talk with Nemec about it, and he's like, dude, sometimes following high school football is just brutal.
High school senior, like top 100, top 150 players, I can watch that. But I have to watch college basketball. I have to I can't watch Albany State take on like this, like it just
Western Tennessee.
I can't do it because it's so bad.
It's so bad.
because I'm an NBA guy, but
Sure,
for draft
sure.
evaluation stuff, like I have to kind of trudge through some of that because it's hard. It's hard to find that measuring stick. But when you get guys that are staying places longer or guys that stay in school, like it lifts all boats. It's a rising tide of like, you look at guys like Nick Clifford, who left Colorado and went to Colorado State, Tamani Kamara, who leaves Georgia and goes to Dayton with Deron Holmes. You've got 2 NBA guys on a lesser program. Like it make like Dalton Connect going from Northern Colorado to Tennessee, like Yaxel Lendeberg
to a lottery pick.
Yeah, Yaxel Lendeberg going from UAB to Michigan. Like, yeah, it does trickle up, and those other schools kind of have to deal with it and struggle. But it makes the overall product across the country so much better.
I agree. We'll see how it goes. I mean, like I said, it's one of those inevitable things, so just buckle up and deal with it. When we come back, now we're going to cross the pond. We're both into this. I did not realize you were into this. We'll check in on a little bit of Champions League. But first, I've always wanted to say this. We'll throw it to the big kahuna.
Now, from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
First on The Fan, after the Pacers eliminated the Knicks in Game 6 on Saturday, the NBA Finals are now all set. Game 1 coming up Thursday at the Paycom Center in Oklahoma City. The Thunder are early 9-point favorites. The Pacers, the 4th 4-seed to appear in the NBA Finals since the playoffs expanded in 1984, and would be the first 4-seed to win it all in that span. ESPN Shams Charania reporting the Suns have narrowed their head coaching search down to 2 candidates, both of them Cleveland Cavaliers assistants in Johnny Bryant and Jordan Ott. Over on the diamond, the Mariners off today after taking 2 of 3 from the Twins. The Orioles hit Seattle for a 3-game set starting tomorrow. The Mariners lead over the Astros in the AL West, now down to just a half game. Cal Raleigh named American League Co-Player of the Week as the Big Dumper hit .348 with 6 home runs and 10 RBI with a 1.575 OPS last week. Stanley Cup Final begins on Wednesday at Rogers Place in Edmonton. The Oilers hosting the Panthers. Florida looking to hoist Lord Stanley's Cup for the 2nd straight year, while Edmonton looking to become the first Canadian winner since 1993. And Lions center Frank Ragnow announced his retirement this morning. Ragnow was a first-round pick in 2018 and a 4-time Pro Bowl selection. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk. Hurt and missing work, insurance companies acting like jerks. Don't call your mom. Call George McCoy at warrenallen.com.
The home of prime time with Isaac and Sue. Weekdays 3 to 7, 1080 The Fan.
Well, it was inevitable, my friend. That's the story of this hour. Inevitability.
Have you ever been to a volcano?
Inevitability. On Saturday, Europe came to a screeching halt to watch the Paris Saint-Germain defeat Internacional. It's a champion. And long story short,
By the way, it's Champions. It's a banger intro.
Banger intro. Like, it's the only thing better than the Champions intro is, oh man, you caught me off guard. This is the only thing that's better.
Yeah.
This is number 1, and Champions is number 2.
Yes.
And before you kill me on the text line and YouTube, shout out for listening. I love you guys. Thank you. I understand that you find soccer boring. However, we do not. And were you surprised in the utter and complete domination from this game. It wasn't a very good game.
Oh, it was over immediately.
I mean, finals are never really good games.
No,
in tournaments, and whether it's Champions League, World Cup, MLS Cup, if you want to stay local, finals are never good games because it's guys feeling each other out. It's usually 45 minutes of just garbage, of nothing going on. But this was over from the jump. The PSG. Inter could not do anything.
No,
they could not do anything offensively, and their defense was an absolute disaster.
If it's gonna be what it is, and one team's ultimately gonna smash the other, and we had these in the Barca runs, the Real Madrid runs when they're in the treble and stuff like that. It's like, well, whoever they're gonna play, they're gonna just like every time Chelsea pops up, it's like, and they're done. You know what I mean? It's just like, oh, that was quick. Then turn it into this. Turn it into a laugher and just stunt on another team. Like that's what happened. They just PSG just stunted on Inter, and you're just like, well, all right, let's see some dope stuff. Like that was anytime you have like the big stars, you've the Ronaldos, the Messis,
the Mbappes of the
world, Mbappes, the Zlatans. Like when you
Zlatan.
When you get them on that stage, just stunt on them. And for PSG though, it wasn't like the big guns. It was
Dembele didn't have an amazing game.
No, it was everyone else.
Everyone else.
Like it was just like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it's funny for those of you out there that don't really follow Champions League. It's kind of built in a way like the Super Bowl that it's almost like the journey is the better path than the actual result. It's like
to me the best part about the playoffs is the draw.
Yeah. The draw is amazing.
For those that don't know, for the Champions League, like you just get put in a bucket. And they're literally like drawing. All right, this team's gonna play this team, and you could have the biggest club in the world playing
the second biggest club in the world in the round of 16.
Yeah, and you're like, well, okay. And then you could have like the team that makes the Champions League out of nowhere. You get your one of your Dutch teams, PSV Eindhoven, Ajax, or something like that, and they're playing. Liverpool, or they're playing Barca, or they're playing Man U, and you're like, yeah, it's a fun, the Eredivisie is a fun little league, but that churns out, top level talent that goes to other leagues regularly. But now you're like, oh, it's not a game I really care about. And then you turn it on, it's like the match of the year, and you're like, oh, this was fun.
Yeah, I mean, Arsenal, Real Madrid this year, absolute smoke show. Real kind of no-showed, and Arsenal looked like the best team in the tournament. Liverpool had gone out. Bayern was looking a little shaky. They end up losing to Inter. But yeah, it's kind of weird. Like, the Super Bowls are rarely great games.
No, I mean...
Super Bowls are rarely great games.
We pop it up because it's the ultimate game.
Because it's the ultimate game.
Sporting event outside of the World Cup, blah, blah, blah.
But so is the Champions League final in Europe. It's the number one watched sporting event outside of the World Cup.
Yep.
And it's the games that lead up before it. I love it. I can't get enough of it. There's something about a Champions League night in Europe. It's bucket list stuff for me.
And if you've never...
And they're always on Tuesdays or Wednesdays. So it's like a Tuesday night in Munich and Bayern's hosting, Manchester City.
Like,
and it's like a Tuesday night. And it's like, oh, well, I guess I'm not going to work tomorrow.
And aesthetically, seeing how... If you've never seen Champions League grass and how absolutely perfect this stuff is, and I know how dumb this sounds, but you just look at it and you're like, are they playing on a pool table? Like, you're just like, you're looking at it and you're just like, every last square inch of it is so perfectly manicured, and the way it looks when a match starts is just, it sets a tone that's just weird.
Rank lawn maintenance. Augusta, Liverpool Champions League. Who is the better groundskeeper? What grass is nicer?
It's probably Champions League.
It's probably Champions League.
Like if you want to go down a crazy...
Like one of the big clubs, okay?
Yeah.
If Red Star Belgrade's in, maybe not that. But if you got a top English team, top Spanish team...
Real has the best grass maybe on the planet. Have you, like, if you want... I've mentioned this on the show before. If you want to go down a wild, awesome YouTube rabbit hole... Real Madrid.
Oh, right. It opens up and it drops down.
It is a full underground bunker.
That's right.
And
I've seen this.
I think it's 8-yard or 8-meter segments. And when it comes together, it's seamless. You can't tell. It actually has seams that come together that are synthetic, but in between the synthetic is actual grass, and they're on these panels that cycle down underground into this Amazon.
It looks like a parking garage.
Yes, and inside that, each level has lights that simulate the sun. Like this is like
This is so
I
amazing.
want to say it's like
Some
a
of the nerdiest
$200
stuff, and
million
I'm in it.
Oh, dude, there's a YouTube video that Real Madrid like shows you how it's built and how it works. It's like 15 minutes long. But if you're into like the world of sports, it is so crazy. And this is maybe a weird tangent. Did you see John Brinkus?
No.
The creator of Sports Science. Did you ever watch?
Oh, I did see that he passed.
He unfortunately took his life yesterday.
I just saw that he died, and I was like, wow, that was young. And then I saw that. And
But like
depression's a real thing. Go get help.
It is 988 is the number. Not to make this dark, but John Brinkus like used to do this kind of stuff, like where you would go down these rabbit holes.
That
and
was a
just
great
like,
show.
It was.
You didn't have to be a fan of the sport, but it was just fascinating.
If anything, like stuff like that was his wheelhouse. It would bring you in.
Even if
like,
I hated soccer, I would still find that fascinating.
and like I think he did a soccer one with somebody, and I can't remember who it was, but it was like their ability to generate torque and speed and like
probably
bend
like
the ball.
moving the ball.
you're like-
Yeah.
And they like I don't know if it was him that did it, but they talk about like David Beckham. Like, have you ever seen his toes?
No.
His foot is crooked.
Oh, is it?
Because he stuffed his foot into a shoe that was too small.
Yep.
In order to get like better feel and
So he could
shape
get
on
what
the
he
ball.
needed.
And it's like his foot is like it's like a boomerang. And you're like, oh God, a beautiful man, but he had to sacrifice his feet. But like all like the weird intrinsic stuff of soccer. Don't get me wrong, the game of soccer I love, but it's all the weird things about soccer that like, you know, whether it's Beckham's feet or like the way the pitch comes together in Real Madrid, like you're just like, oh my God. Like when you go down those rabbit holes of soccer or football, it's always just like there's so like everybody's like, oh, it's so boring. It's like, no, like hockey, it's the same thing where it's like you have a 3-2 game, but it's everything that goes in between it. Like when you see Stanley Cup ice, which we'll see on Wednesday.
Yeah.
When you see
the
the
most pristine
logo
ice.
under the ice, like before the guys get out there, they do the pan before.
One of the best examples would be
Oh.
the Vegas. When Vegas won.
Yeah,
Their
you're-
first hosted Stanley Cup, it was like, oh, hockey can be sexy and
Yeah.
entertaining, not just this like old school grunt kind of physical thing. It was like, whoa.
The pomp and circumstance. And
was
that's
huge in the Vegas. That's why that's why everybody's getting a team in Vegas.
And that's the thing is like we get so lost in the sport that sometimes we forget that it's an entertainment product. And
Right.
the pomp and the circumstance matters, and the Champions League does that.
Well, when the EPL, I read this great book, when the EPL was first being formed, when it was, you know, the top league, but they were creating the English Premier League, Rupert Murdoch, who had created Sky Sports, he was a big push to make the game bigger. And what he did was he took the owners of all the 6 big clubs, you know, your Tottenham, Chelsea,
Man
U, Liverpool, etc., took all the owners to a Super Bowl. And he said, look at this. And they're like, this is insane. And it's halftime. And he goes,
2 weeks leading up to it.
and they get to the game and it's at halftime and they're like, oh my God, is that Michael Jackson?
Yeah.
And he's like, yes, it is.
The
And they're
biggest
like,
star on the planet.
how do we do this? And he said, exactly. And that's kind of how that, because you're right. At the end of the day, we like to think that it's all about the integrity of the game and such.
It's still entertainment, man.
It still is.
It's
There's still the integrity of the game.
Everything's a lot closer to the WWE than people want it to
Exactly.
be because it's like the separation of real versus crafted.
Dude, I don't
But
wa-
it's like it's still a product.
I don't watch sports because I think, you know, wow, Scotty Scheffler's mechanics of his golf swing are just incredible.
I do, though.
Look at the anatomy of that. No, I watch him stave off Bryson DeChambeau.
I also watch him hit a line drive through the crowd.
I watch him make I watch him make a surge on Saturday to show up out of nowhere. I know Rory beat DeChambeau. I was just using it as an example. But it's like you don't watch sports for the athleticism. You watch it for the drama.
It's both.
You watch it for the story.
But
literally, we have jobs, Danny, because it's for the drama and the story.
And like the pomp and the circumstance matters. man.
It's
Like,
all about it.
And the Champions League now, even the game was bereft of it, but
Yeah.
everybody's still talking and watching because
And the fans are and the fans are still there. The place is packed. I mean, I watched the whole game.
Oh, yeah.
It was 3-0. I knew that game was over.
yeah,
No,
you know, it's like
Well, I wanted to watch him lift the trophy. Why? Pomp and circumstance.
yes, exactly.
When we come back, we'll wrap this bad boy up. It's Danny and Dusty, 1080 The Fan.
Check out
Well, I feel very privileged that my birthday is here on a Metal Monday. This is your last call on the YouTube stream and the text line. Any last-minute Vegas recommendations on my Virgin flight here?
Well, Mr. Vegas himself, I Everett Ropp is
in the building.
He's in the building now. He's a first timer, Isaac. Where does he have to go?
I didn't want to inundate him. He's big time.
No. I'm going to hit him with it. Where does he where your first trip to Vegas, where do you have to go?
Where are you staying?
The Venetian Palazzo.
That's a nice place.
Yeah. Well, we thought it was a good time, so we wanted to splurge a little bit.
Do you like Mexican food?
Heck yeah, I love Mexican food.
Do you like elevated Mexican food?
Sure.
Go to the bar at Casa Playa in the Encore.
Casa Playa at the Encore. Ooh, I love Mexican food. Delicious.
Yeah.
Okay.
A little pricey, but not too bad.
Sure. I mean, we know we're going to spend money. I'm just excited because, as I've said on this show, I'm not a big gambler. So it's like, I think
do the other things.
I think I'm going to hit the tables tonight.
Get it out of the way.
And just get it out of the way because we're getting in, 9:30, 10 o'clock.
So what you do is you land at the airport, hit the slots in the airport real quick.
I'm not going to do that.
No, just put a throw a 5 or throw a 10 in there, just real quick. Just real quick. And then go to the tables, and then you can say you did the slots and you did the tables, and you're good.
Yep, I think that's it. I think that's my night tonight is slots and tables, and then we do the rest afterwards.
And then you eat like a king and queen.
I'm going to eat like an absolute king.
Everybody talks about New York and LA as the premier food cities. To me, the best food city in the country is Las Vegas.
Yeah, I think it just depends, on kind of what your parameters are around that. Because
they have everything.
Portland's got a great food scene, but Portland's food scene is small independent.
Yes.
Carts, real small, 10-table brick and mortars.
And we do a lot of the Asian cuisines
And
incredibly well.
To where
Thai, Vietnamese.
To where New York City, that's some fine dining.
Yeah.
That's some high elevated, high-end fine dining. New Orleans is a great food city, but that's their type of food.
Yeah,
that's what makes it special.
It's not my jam.
Same with Miami.
It's too seafood oriented.
Yeah.
And I'm not a huge seafood guy.
Yeah, so it's it all depends on what you're looking for. To where Vegas, you kind of have to have everything.
Dude, I had a brisket fried
It's entertainment.
rice.
Is that the moral of our story today?
Oh, yeah.
Is entertainment?
Entertainment, baby.
Entertainment.
No, I had brisket fried rice. This 5-star chef whipped up for us at midnight. The owner of a sports book called him up. He hadn't even opened the restaurant yet. They were still waiting to debut it. And he's like, "Hey, can you come down here and do this?
Do the thing."
And from scratch, brisket fried rice. And I was just like, nom, nom, nom. One of the best meals I've ever had in my life. And I was like, this is incredible. And he's like, oh, yeah, that's just one of the millions of things that this guy does. And it was just we did the Gordon Ramsay burger last year. It was my wife's like, let's go check it out. One of the best burgers of my entire life. They brought over a hot dog at the table next to me. I'm like, I didn't know a hot dog could be done like that. What do you mean? And it's it doesn't matter what you want food-wise there. You can find it, and it'll be incredible.
Yeah, I'm excited. And not to be all sentimental and wishy-washy. When my wife brought this up about us going to Vegas, she said, well, should we invite, do you want to invite a bunch of your friends? And I was like, hey, I don't think anybody's going to want to go. We just got off a big rafting trip in Idaho. So a lot of my close friends, we all just did that. So I don't know if to turn around and kind of do it again was a lot to ask. And I was kind of or we could just go you and me.
Wife and I have done that 3 times.
So
it's fun.
I think that's what I'm most excited about. Not to sound all wishy-washy.
No, man.
I think I'm jazzed to be in a place that I've never been.
And you don't have to cater to anybody else. To worry about it. Just go.
One of my favorite bands is playing tomorrow night at Brooklyn Bowl.
There you go.
So I'm going to go see that. I got Bad Elvis tickets.
There you go.
Very excited about that.
Hopefully a fat Elvis.
I don't think it's going to be a fat Elvis. I think he's a skinny Elvis. We were talking about this before the show started. Do you want it to be a really good impersonation show? Or do you want it to be a really awesome, terrible impersonation show?
Either way.
Oh, mama.
Yeah, either way.
Right? Right, Rusty? What do you think? Do you want it to be
don't give me
almost
mediocre.
you feel like you're at an Elvis show, or do you want it to be bad?
I think
I'd want that it's good.
I think I'd want it to be pretty campy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
the one time I went, my wife took me for my 35th birthday. It was my first time too. She was pregnant, and we saw the Elvis Cirque du Soleil show at the Aria where we stayed.
Yeah,
that was pretty kick-ass.
There you go.
Yep. So that'll do it for us. Danny, thank you for letting me sit in.
Thanks for being here, man.
Much appreciated. We'll have to do it again sometime. Thanks to Dusty for letting me have the reins in his chair here for a moment. You know the drill. Isaac and Suk are coming up next. For Danny Meringue, Jeff Rust on the ones and twos, I'm Patrick Harris. Go do something. How do?
Join us tomorrow. Joe Fisher will be stepping in for Dusty Hera.
That's my quarterback.
There you go.
That's my teammate.
All right, everybody. Take care. Talk soon. Bye.
It's back. Your local Toyota dealers present the 11th